Hello everyone and welcome to the Band of Brothers podcast. I'm Elton and this is Andy.
Hello.
And we are joining forces to work our way through the Band of Brothers. I haven't seen this in around about a year, but I've been wanting to do this show for quite some time. I don't know about you, Andy. How do you feel about Band of Brothers?
Oh, I love Band of Brothers, but I've probably not watched it in probably close to 2 to 3 years at this point.
Right, okay.
It has been a while, but it's certainly one of those things that I love to come back to, and I always appreciate. You get totally engrossed in it.
Yeah,
it's just fantastic.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert: we like it.
Oh God, yes, yeah. Straight off the bat, spoilers. It's going to be filled with it. This show and the coming shows as well are going to be filled with spoilers. We're going to be rambling about each and every episode that we have, and this episode, Saving Private Ryan, as well. And that fits into things. But we will also probably curse at some point. We'll probably say something rude and maybe inappropriate. So just in case you've got kids around, get them out the room. Just in case. It's got an explicit tab for a reason. So
to be fair, especially with Saving Private Ryan, that's really not viewing for children. So if you let your kids watch Saving Private Ryan, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, you're on a list somewhere, definitely. Oh, I don't know. But yeah, I haven't watched it for maybe a year or so. It took me quite a while to track Band of Brothers down. I know it was available on DVDs and Blu-rays and HBO and stuff like that. I tried to watch it on the BBC when it was first released. And it was around 9/11 that it came out. So I think it got lost in all that furore that was around going on then, and lost into news and went into the background somewhat for me. So I knew it was there. And it took me a couple of years to seek it out, and I sought it out. Once again took me a couple of years to buy it. Then I got round to watching it finally, and I gorged on it a bit too much, and then had to leave it for a couple of years. But last year I went back to it, went through it again, and ended up crying at every single episode. It just kills me, honestly, slays me. It's some of the best TV ever, I would say.
Oh, undoubtedly. It's still a high watermark. It's fantastic. Everything from the casting to production values to the direction to the storytelling. If you want a lesson in how to make a good miniseries, this is still the one to do it. It doesn't outstay its welcome. It tells a beautiful story, fantastically well done. It doesn't flinch away from the hard stuff.
Mm.
It kind of embraces the quiet moments and the big bombastic stuff as well. And you really do start to feel an affinity and a sense of camaraderie, with Easy Company.
Yeah. No, that's totally correct. You feel you are part of that band. You're on the journey with them and you're following them around, and it's just incredible. It looks so beautiful as well at points. And it's so well done because you do have the introductions are done by, is it members of Easy Company that actually introduce it?
It's typically members of Easy Company who were still alive at the time, or people who interacted with Easy Company, people who had relevant information or experience in what the episode was going to involve.
Yeah.
So, and that's one of the great things when you hear some of these guys, I think you had Colonel Winters at one point, and Malarkey and stuff like that. They're talking about stuff, and then you see these actors who have brought them to life, as they were in 1944. And again, you just get this real sense of who they were, and you can tell it's been done with reverence and love. A lot of respect has gone into it. It's a very authentic portrayal. They don't really shy. Nothing's painted with real rose-tinted specs. Yeah. There's some harrowing moments in there, but it's still fantastically well done.
Yeah, it's the same as Saving Private Ryan, which we'll be going through very, very soon. That has it's got wonderful aspects. Lots of shades of grey, shall we say, instead of the good guys and the bad guys.
Well, absolutely. I mean, the thing with Saving Private Ryan is, it was, I suppose, the embryonic form of Band of Brothers. Without Saving Private Ryan, there would be no Band of Brothers. And the thing is, so many of what we view as now of war film cliches, or even war game cliches, anyone who's played Call of Duty, the first few ones, Storming the Beach of Normandy, it's almost all taken verbatim from this film.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It's when I was watching it this time around, and we'll get to this when we're talking about it proper, I start finding myself not quite rolling my eyes at cliches, but like, you kind of going, oh, that's so cliche, we've seen this a million times. But then you realize that this was the first film to do that. And now it's just become such a staple of war films and big action sequences ever since. And it all began right there.
Yeah. Yeah, I have played that. I think it wasn't Call I think it was Medal of Honor.
The first Medal of Honor as well, yeah. Again, so many of these just kind of, they do the Normandy landings and that's just it.
And it worked so well. It really did. But you knew it was being ripped off from Saving Private Ryan because that film did it so well. But
I'd say it doesn't so much put you in Normandy so much as it puts you in Saving Private Ryan.
Yes. Yeah, you do feel part of the film, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Shouting, Bangalores!
Should we get into it then? I think we should.
I think we may as well. We're just going to dance around it. I mean, let's face it. This is the first episode of this podcast, so we're not really going to have a format yet. We're going to be all over the place, so bear with us.
Oh, our heads are already spinning about this. So,
oh gosh, yeah.
We are. Let's set out our stakes. I'm not a military expert. I'm not part of the military. I am not an expert in anything, really. I just like films, and I love Band of Brothers. I will get things wrong. So if you want to call me up on it, you go ahead and do it. It's not going to change my opinion or the way that I deal with things. This is what you'll get, and you will enjoy it, or you can go away. That's the way it is at the moment. If we make mistakes, we make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. So what? We move on. But as long as we're having fun doing it, that's all that matters. And it's free. So, what are you complaining about? There we go. Right, okay. So, Band of Brothers, Saving Private Ryan. Back where it first began. So, this was Tom Hanks and Steven Spielberg getting together. Mm-hmm. Directed by Steven Spielberg. Written by Robert Rodat.
Rodat, yes.
Yeah. It came out in 1998. It's an American epic war drama set in the invasion of Normandy in the World War II. Mm-hmm. It follows it's not a true story, is it? I suppose like the first 27 minutes are true.
Well, the first 27 minutes or so, or rather the landings at Normandy, that is largely it has been referred to as the most accurate depiction of the Normandy landings ever committed to film. It was so authentic that when it was screened for the first time, any veterans from the events were given warnings that this is going to be quite harrowing to see, and quite a lot of them commended them for not flinching away from a lot of the more horrific and horrible aspects of it. Normally when prior to this, when you thought of Normandy, you thought of war films. It was largely just, they kind of trotted up to the beach, ran up, shot the Germans, job done. You never really saw, certainly Americans getting blown up and, it going really badly. Opening 27, it's pretty bloody violent, very bloody. But very accurate. You see, just as the landing craft are approaching the shore, which are authentic landing craft, some of which served on D-Day.
Yeah.
But you got people throwing up in there, being sick, none of this kind of bravado, the strong American GI who can take on everything, it's boys.
Yes.
It's young boys. And then as soon as the door drops down, they're just getting mowed down by the machine guns, have to go over the side. You got the sea turning red with the blood. You've got people being blown up, shot left and right. You got that very famous shot of the guy looking, guy with one arm looking around absentmindedly for his arm, picking it up and just carrying on.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's horrible and harrowing, but at the same time, you just can't look away from it. There's a bit where you have Captain Miller pulling a body up, pulling someone up, and then there's an explosion nearby, and he continues carrying, but it's only half a body now because the shell landed on him and just blew him to hell. And again, we call these things cliches now, but like this shell shock sort of effect where the sound all drops out and it's all very kind of very distant, and the bleach bypass effect where everything's very kind of washed out, lots of very whites and blacks, and it's very kind of high contrast look to it. This is just beautiful cinematography. It's just so well done. And yeah, I mean, that whole opening sequence is, you could have just done that on its own and just put that out as a 30, 40 minutes. This was the invasion of Normandy, just getting up Omaha Beach. And, it probably still would have gotten nods for how well done it was. And it's just so much attention to detail there. It was fantastic.
Yeah, because that invasion was a couple of hours worth as well, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Well, again, I mean, the Normandy invasion took place over, I want to say 5 beaches. The British did...
yeah, it was 5. Yeah,
it was 5. Yeah, the British took... Well, the British and Canadians took 3 and the Americans took 2.
Yeah, and we're along for the ride on Omaha Beach, where the Americans...
Omaha Beach, yeah.
There was 2
American beaches, Omaha Beach and Utah Beach. All of the operations pretty much went smoothly, except Omaha. Omaha was the biggest clusterfuck out of them all. I don't know off the top of my head as to what happened there, what went wrong, but I think that was the hardest beach to land on.
Really? Okay. Yeah. Flipping hell. It's just harrowing. One thing we forgot to mention already is the actual opening is a trick. The unreliable narrator. Yes. Well, your very first shot is Old Glory, the American flag. To get the American audiences all kind of hooah. I can't begrudge him in this though, because the film is just so good. But it is a cheap trick to an extent. Do you know what? I've got no problems with that whatsoever. I feel some war movies do the American thing a bit too over the top and just, oh yeah, American just took on the whole world and won. Well done. Everyone should bow down to America for that. But this, I feel that you're not along with Americans.
It's earned in this film.
Yeah, it is earned, but you're also on a journey with human beings.
Yeah.
As well. It doesn't matter where they come from.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. But it starts off with a family visiting the Normandy graves, where a lot of the people who were killed on the beaches were buried in France. Yeah. Which is maintained by the Commonwealth War Graves Commission, I believe, and I think whoever the American equivalent is. And it's an elderly person who we're led to believe is a veteran or a survivor, perhaps, and his family following some distance behind. And they find a grave. We don't see the name on the grave, but he falls down, distraught, I suppose, and the camera kind of zooms in on his eyes. And then immediately cuts to the eyes of Captain Hiller on the landing craft.
Miller, yes.
Miller. Sorry, yes, but yes, yes, that's what we call the unreliable narrator.
Yeah, I think it took me maybe 1 or 2 watches to realise what they were actually doing on that. I don't want to say it just yet, because there are people that are listening to this for the first time and maybe even haven't seen the film. What the hell are you doing? Go back and watch it, crying out loud.
Yeah. Just don't. We're going to spoil this film. And honestly, I mean, it's not like an M. Night Shyamalan film where there's a massive twist in it, but it's such a good film. Go and watch it.
Mm.
Take a moment after that, and then come back and join us. We're not going anywhere. We'll wait, but then come back and you can kind of join in with us and have a listen, see what we think. And then, if you don't agree with us, you can argue with us on the Facebook group.
Yes, definitely. So we're on the beach. That, I know you've just described everything that goes on the beach, but it is harrowing. It doesn't take any prisoners whatsoever. It really throws you in there it puts you in there on an eye level as well.
Oh, it's very visceral. I mean, everything down. I mean, the only thing really missing from the experience is the smells, because everything else is there. You know, the sound is there, how it looks is there, the just that sense of disorientation. You don't really know what's going on.
No, the camera's constantly moving, isn't it?
Constantly moving. I mean, this is before shaky cam was quite the bane on Hollywood that it is today. But, you know, still, it's constantly moving. You got slow shutter speeds at some periods where, you know, he's disorientated, doesn't know quite what's going on. The sound drops out. Everything goes very quiet, except for that kind of in the distant, as the explosions go off and people die. You got bullets flying through the water. And like I said, just the water turning red from the blood. You got one of the landing craft lands and it just erupts into flame. And you got these guys trying to get out of it on fire. It's harrowing. And again, you just see boys screaming for their mothers, hiding behind these tank traps. Because, you know, again, you're talking, 19, 20-year-olds? Maybe even younger. And it's just, I mean, you think of what we were doing at 19 and 20. And it's just like, no, just no. Nope. Nope.
So far apart from that. There was not that there was no way that I was going to be doing that, but I cannot envisage how brave these people were. There's just no words for it. And I feel this film really sticks you in there. And it the way it opens is, this is how it was. There are no shades of black and white in this, and you are along for the ride. And it really draws you in within them first 30 minutes. It's just crazy how good it is. It's like you say, the slow shutter speed. It gives you you can almost see the grains of sand being thrown up in your face.
Absolutely,
it's so clever. And sometimes I feel on this rewatch for me, it felt a bit blinkered, as if you didn't get a wider scope of it.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely you don't so much feel it when you're watching it, but when you look back at it, you suddenly realise that it wasn't this entire. It was really just following. There was C Company, weren't they? You're really just following this one company going up the beach.
Yeah.
But you know, a company still, you know, I think it's 100 men.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's still, you know, it's pretty damn harrowing, just in that little vignette, if you will, of what's going on.
So they get up onto the beach. They make it towards bunkers as well, don't they?
I mean, you've got all these defenses put in by the Nazis. So you've got the tank traps, barbed wire,
mines as well,
wooden stakes. Plus they're under heavy machine gun fire. They're under mortar fire, artillery fire.
Yep.
It is again, to quote Star Wars, they have the high ground. So it's it ain't a good place to be.
What are you bringing that in here for? Crying out. That doesn't belong here at all.
I'm just connecting with the potential audience we have.
But I feel like it's worth going through the set pieces on this beach opening, because they are it's just so well done.
Absolutely. Well, I can tell you one interesting thing about it as well. None of it was scripted or storyboarded. What happened was Spielberg wanted to be somewhat loose with the camera and just be inspired by what he saw on the beach. So, you know, they do a charge up the beach, filming one particular bit, and he'd see something he'd like, and he'd say, I need you guys to do that again.
Mm-hmm.
And then they'd focus on that little bit, and then he'd see something else he'd like, and, you know, they follow that. So a lot of these little vignettes as you're going up along the beach, like the boy kind of crying behind the trap, or, again, the bloke picking up the arm, and you know, lots of these little bits are just things that weren't planned, but just came up when they were filming for it, and we go, oh, that's really good. We're gonna make sure we capture that.
But you can't blame the kid for cowering behind one of them traps.
Oh, I don't blame him in the slightest. It's no, you get there, your brain's just gonna switch up. It's just like, nope, I cannot deal with this.
Yeah. There's no charging or anything. There's no bravado and American flag waving or anything like that. It's not rammed down your throat and people walking on petals that have the American flag printed on them. It doesn't work like that. It's very real, very visceral as well. There's there's a bit where they make it up the beach, but they're pinned down by the machine gun fire, and you've got the heavy barbed wire, and they need to get over.
Yeah.
And
They're all trying to, just kind of, they're just trying to assemble the company so they can just figure out who's here and what's going next. Because again, everything's gone to hell. Everyone's just trying to run up as best they can. They don't know where people are. They don't know where supplies are, where weapons are, where medics are, and things like this.
Well, their plans were lost as soon as they opened the door on them boats.
Well, is the famous saying, no plan survives contact with the enemy.
Yeah.
Which I think is the epitome of which was this.
Yes, yeah, I totally agree. They use the big dynamite sticks. I can't remember the
Bangalores.
Bangalores, that's it, yes.
Yeah.
They are torpedo type things that use a fuse. See, you can tell I haven't got a military background on this. But they use a fuse ignition, and they chuck them over, ruin the defenses, ruin all the barbed wire, etc. Remove all that, hop over there, and then they got.
Can we just talk about a couple of set pieces before that happens, though?
Yeah. Because I know there's a lot that goes on.
Three in particular, I want to point out. They're all kind of quite harrowing. Is one, you have a radio operator. So you got Tom Hanks, Captain Miller's there. He keeps pulling this guy over, shouting orders to communicate with command about what's going on. And then at one point, he reaches over, pulls the guy over. He's got no face left.
Yeah, third time, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it's so shocking because you don't really hear anything. There's an explosion just slightly off screen. You hear something. It goes off. He pulls him over, and it's just a gaping hole where his face was.
Yeah.
And it's just, that's shocking, but it's just how Miller, not in a heartless way, but just kind of just pulls them aside and then just grabs the radio, and then the radio's fucked. So they're just like, oh crap.
Well, one thing I like about that is all in one shot, because you have Miller pull him over and give him orders twice, and so you've already been teased twice that something could happen, but it hasn't happened 2 times. And so the audience is, okay, maybe a third time. It'll be fine this time round. And it does take a pan up the men and then back to him. And then he pulls him over, and he's gone. And I'd imagine that happened many, many times on the field. But it's just shot in a way that you are expecting it, but not quite then.
Yeah. It's just so sudden, and it's just shocking.
Yeah.
The next moment I wanted to mention was our introduction to the medic. What was his name? Owen Wade.
Yeah.
Wade. Yeah. Who's down, played by Giovanni Ribisi, is it?
Yes.
Ribisi. He's down there, trying to tend to, which really does seem like pissing in the wind, to be honest. But they're there trying to save these guys, who've been wounded. And, there's 3 of these medics working on this guy. They're giving him morphine. They're working on him. They even pull a body up at one point to shoot him from bullets. And he's shouting, I've stopped the bleeding. I've stopped the bleeding. And the guy just gets shot in the head.
Yeah.
And it's just a real sense of a futility. Like I said, it is like, pissing in the wind or ice skating uphill. It's just, you feel for these guys. They're trying their damnedest, but it's just an uphill thing. And you can also really feel the frustration they're feeling there. It's just horrible. And the last moment, which is kind of dark humor, is the blackest of black humor.
Oh, I know where you're going with this.
You know what I'm talking about. You get the guy who has a ricochet hits his helmet, and he takes it off, and goes to, I'm a lucky son of a bitch, aren't I? Just to get shot in the head. It's just little bits like that. It's just, oh wow, you hadn't seen this before. But you felt for the bloke. It's just like, you lucky son of a bitch. Oh wait, no.
Yeah, I think this was 98, so I was 20 when this came out. And being a 21-year-old when you first see this, it's that type of shot. You really don't understand the impact of what is going on the screen sometimes. Especially if you're a massive dick like I was when I was 20. And watching it first time, it is the black humour. But this time around, watching it is just, no, don't take it. Flipping hell. And you're kind of biting your fingers, willing him not to take it off. But yet he still does. And it's not that you need the black humour, because it doesn't, it's not required, but shows you a sense of there are no prisoners on this beach.
It wouldn't surprise me if things like that were all based off of actual accounts. I really wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if that was something that someone saw happened.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's pretty full on. It's pretty harrowing. But they blow the defenses, get up underneath the machine gun nest to relative safety, or at least in so much as they can't seem to shoot down that low.
Yeah, they've got a wall between themselves and a turret as well, haven't they?
Yeah. And then we're introduced to the sniper, Daniel Jackson.
Yep.
Played by Barry Pepper.
Yes.
Fantastic character, really well played as well. Quoting the Bible verses as he's popping down Nazis.
I flipping love it. I think he's one of my favourite characters in this.
Oh, absolutely. Certainly one of the most memorable.
Mm. And many memes are made of him later on as well.
Absolutely, yeah. But yeah, we're introduced to him. But I mean, really at this point, once they're through those final defences, it's largely a clearing action.
Yeah.
They're just kind of going through. They take out the machine gun nest. They throw grenades into the one of the pillboxes. You have a moment where they say, "Don't shoot them, let them burn," which I think is trying to again just kind of paint it that there are no angels here. There was no good guys versus bad guys. You have a bit where two Nazis come out surrendering with their hands up. They're not speaking German though; they're speaking Czech because they were forced to fight in the Wehrmacht.
I didn't know this though. This is.
Did you not?
No,
okay.
This is such a beautiful thing about this film.
Yeah.
That they're Czechs. They're speaking Czech. They're surrendering, saying that they didn't kill anyone. But we don't get subtitles for that.
No, we don't. Which again, I think is a nice touch. Because again, it's only when you realise what's going on there. Because if you thought they were Germans just surrendering, you might be a bit less inclined to say, "Oh well." But no, when they say we're Czechs, we didn't kill anyone. We were forced to be here, and the Americans not only kill them. And the first thing they do is go and start looking for souvenirs.
Yeah.
Because everyone has to get their Hitler Youth knife. Everyone has to get their the Luger pistol. Their little bits of SS memorabilia or paraphernalia. Which is kind of horrible, but
it's
the nature of war.
Yeah, it's something that maybe has been painted that the Germans would do this quite a lot, and yet it's showing that we're not fallible either. We would commit war crimes as well.
Well, I think war crime as a term has a certain implication and connotation with it. I wouldn't say. I mean, it is a crime committed during the time of war, absolutely. But when you say war crime, I think the Holocaust, I think mass genocide and stuff like this.
Yeah,
this was wrong. But I think this was. I think what they're doing here is just trying to get away from the idea that the Americans are all squeaky clean, good old GIs, perfect, and the Nazis are all horrible baby rapers who are going to, kill your mothers. It's just like you said, we're getting rid of black and white. We're in the greys here. We're in the grey tones. But yeah, I mean, at this point, they've taken the beach effectively, and you get a sense of the oncoming tide, as it were. More landing craft landing there, and that's in a nutshell the opening of a film.
Yeah. There is a first surrender as well. The Germans do put their hands up and surrender, and the first one he's taken out.
As well, yeah.
Oh dear! But
and then the German says something along the lines of "We surrendered, you Schweinhund," or something like that. Yeah. But again, it's at this stage in the war, certainly in the Wehrmacht, it's not the zealous. We want to fight you non-stop. They're not the SS, but again, most people don't realise the difference between them. Yeah.
We have Tom Sizemore. He played Sergeant Hovarth, I think it was. He's collecting sand on the beach.
Oh, yes. Everywhere he's landed.
Yeah, he's got Africa in there. He's probably got Italy in there as well. Yeah.
Africa, Italy, and then France.
That's such a good idea. I love that. Once again, it's probably drawn from inspiration of someone actually doing that.
I think it was quite a common thing, yeah. But yeah, it makes sense in that sense. We haven't mentioned this, but we've already kind of picked up as well that the captain has a bit of a tremor in his hands.
Was that on the boat?
We see it's pretty much the first thing we see when he's taking a drink from his canteen.
Right.
He's got a bit of a shake. I think it's implied that he's starting to suffer a bit from post-traumatic stress, something along those lines. Because we mentioned it only really started when he was boarding at Southampton.
Yeah. Yeah. This dips in and out throughout the story, doesn't it?
Yeah. I think it's also to get away from a sense that the captain is a Superman, a super soldier. It's something the audience can recognize as a vulnerability, as a weakness in him, without him having to have a big moment. It's a very subtle thing, but I think it works very well.
Yeah, it humanizes him somewhat. Yeah. I feel he's fallible. He's got something not wrong with him, but he's got a chink in his armor that makes him a little bit more human, a bit more down to earth, and something that the other guys can notice and realize. Like you say, he's not a superhuman. So, yeah. We get a scene once all the fighting's over and the barracks have been taken. We pan across the beach. Once you say we have all the blood in the water, we have all the bodies on there, we have the ships, we have a S. Ryan as well on one of the beaches. Yep. And this is where the story really starts. We've done the real stuff, and now we're getting into the Hollywood of the movie.
We're entering Hollywood, but we should just mention this is largely based on. Well, it's not largely based. It's loosely based on a true story of the Nyland brothers, who were four brothers. Two survived the war, but at a time they thought only one had. Two were killed during the D-Day action. One was in the parachute regiment, and two were killed on the beach. And then the other brother was in Burma. In the Pacific Theatre.
Right, okay.
And basically, so the two were killed in Normandy on the beach, like S. Ryan, as it were. And then the one who was in the Japanese POW camp, he was reported as killed, but it later turned out he'd only been captured. But at the time, they thought he was killed. But the other brother, who I think was Fred or Fritz, they didn't have to go and rescue him. They knew where he was, and they just shipped him back to New York until the end of the war. So they didn't have to go and rescue him, but he was sent back to, I suppose, partly to be with his mother. There was another incident with the Sullivan brothers, who were all stationed on a single destroyer, which was sunk in 1942, and that was five brothers.
I'd heard of the Sullivan brothers, yes.
Well, the Sullivan brothers... they'd kind of made the mistake of making a big PR thing out of it. These five brothers serving together on one ship. Well, then the ship gets sunk, all the brothers die, and then they made a policy where they wouldn't put brothers, all brothers anyway, in the same unit or on the same ship or anything like that. And they actually mentioned this in the office sequence. They said the brothers were originally in a single unit when they were broken up after the Sullivans went down on the what was the name of the ship? Virginia,
right? Okay,
something like that. But yeah, so anyway, this is loosely based on real events. The rescue mission, in inverted commas, is fiction.
Yeah,
but the story of the brothers and one being sent home, that has a basis in fact.
Yeah, this scene where the letters are being written and all this S. Ryan story has been written out, I suppose, is the first time I'd noticed Bryan Cranston in the office.
Oh yes, he's the colonel in charge with one arm.
Yeah, because I hadn't seen Breaking Bad last time I watched this film. I'd gorged on this movie a bit too much, and I'll tell you about my feelings about it once we've gone all the way through it. But there are a couple of people in here that I recognise for the first time, and it's just, I love that it keeps giving to me, and I'm sure it'll keep giving to me again and again. But this time, the first time I've seen Bryan Cranston in the War Office, and it's just so cool.
It's very cool, and again, there's quite a number of well-known actors. They might not have been as well known at the time, but they're certainly people you recognise today in this film. And again, I think that's a testament to Steven Spielberg as a director and what he was trying to do. That so many people wanted to be a part of it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, so we've got our story set out. We need some men to go find James Ryan.
Well, they basically say the mother's going to receive 3 telegrams in one day saying her sons have all died. But there's a 4th. And they decide that they want to bring the son home. Now this is where it gets a little bit contentious. And I don't know how into the realm of plausibility and reality this is. I believe the US have a policy of no man left behind. Like, if a soldier falls in battle, they will recover the soldier or the body.
Yeah.
The British do not have this policy. We will not risk the life of one man to recover a body. That's my understanding. Could be wrong. Please correct me if I am wrong. But this is something that's pointed out by Dale Dye, who's an actual former Marine colonel, and often performs. Was he a colonel? No, he was a captain. Former Marine captain, sorry. Who's one of the technical advisors on both this, Band of Brothers, and many, many other military films. And when this is presented to General Marshall, is told it makes no sense risking the lives of X number of men to save one. It doesn't balance out. Then George Marshall reads, I think it's Lincoln.
Yes, an Abraham Lincoln speech, I think it is.
From the Civil War. And, riles up the whole patriotic fever, and it's like, we're not going to it's the Bixby letter, that's what it is. And they basically said, we're going to find a kid and send him home to his mother immediately. You have to say, and I agree with Jackson and so forth, a squad of, what was it, 8?
Yes, 8, yeah.
8 to save one. The maths ain't great there, and again, as they point out, they all have mothers as well, maybe even the captain.
Yes.
So I'm not going to let it trip me up too much because I love the film, and I have to respect what they're doing. It's all well good, but war is hell, and people die in war. And I believe they actually made a policy after the Island Brothers where if you have a family, like 4 or 5, the youngest or what have you, one of them would be exempt from service, would be exempt from the draft, wouldn't have to join up if the rest of the brothers did.
Right.
So, I have to imagine that maybe don't deploy Ryan the younger Ryan in the first place probably would have saved a lot of people a lot of hassle.
Yeah. Oh, I like the idea of it. I get the sentiment of it as well. Whether it would actually be actioned, maybe then, maybe not now. I don't know. I don't know if it would be actioned or not. It's hard to say. Is one life more important than 8? No. But
and you've got to bear in mind, fundamentally, this was a PR exercise.
Yeah.
Again, to take nothing away from James Ryan, nothing away from the loss his mother suffered, and the sacrifice of his other brothers, who we later find out one is still alive, but that's besides the point. But still, to say nothing of all of that, you are making a judgment call for a PR exercise. And I feel it's the weakest aspect of a film.
Yeah, but wasn't there a lot of PR stunts during military action, though?
Oh, absolutely. I'm not saying this stuff didn't happen all the time. Again, war is hell. Horrible stuff happens in war. War is not fair. And as Captain Miller points out, we do what we're told to do, and we don't gripe about it. Or we gripe upwards, but you have to get it done. But I just feel that I find myself in agreement with Captain Miller's company in that it's a waste of resources.
Yep.
It's a waste of lives. I feel for Ryan. I feel for his mother. That's a horrible thing to happen. But I think it was wrong to immediately, anyway, send the company out to go and get him on. I think they should have given orders for him to be recovered, returned home, whatever. That's absolutely fine. But, I mean, for all we know, again, throughout the film, he could be dead already for all we know.
Yeah, maybe not make a mission for him, but if someone does come across him and his name is mentioned in dispatches, then yeah, okay.
It's basically fine. He's coming home straight. As soon as he records in, he's going home. That's fine. But I'm not going to sacrifice an entire, unit to go and to rescue him.
Yeah.
But still, it is the central contrivance of the film. And we'll forgive it because it's there to tell this particular story. But it's the bit I have the hardest time swallowing.
Yeah. I agree. But without it, we wouldn't have a film.
Yeah, and I acknowledge that, and that's all fine. It's all good. And again, this is as you say, it's a fictional film set in a real event.
Yeah. We get to meet our new interpreter as well. Corporal Upham.
They don't like it, Upham, sir.
Do you know, throughout the whole film, I didn't even think about that, and now you mentioned it, and now I'm looking at his name. Yeah, okay. Why didn't I think of that earlier on? It's Jeremy Davies. What's he from? He was in Lost.
Yes, he was in Lost.
He was Daniel Faraday in Lost.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Which as you know, I flipping love.
He was also in a couple of episodes of Hannibal and Constantine.
Right.
Yes. But yes, doesn't look like he did in Saving Private Ryan anymore. I'll tell you that.
No, that's true. What do we have here as well? Our first mention of the Airborne as well.
Yes.
Which links us back to Band of Brothers. So
yes, and Drop has not gone according to plan, and they're scattered all across northern France, apparently.
I wonder if we'll find out about that later on.
Yes. Interesting. Strokey chin.
Oh, good. I was stroking my chin as well. That's good. Excellent. So we've got our new interpreter. They're all heading out. We get our first little group scene. The guys they all already know each other.
Yeah.
They know they've worked under Miller before. And one thing I don't like is, okay, now the corporal is us. And it's the corporal's duty to find out who these guys are for us.
Yeah.
And that, once again, this is the storytelling that we get. This is the Spielberg magic that you don't realise is happening, but you need. And yet, on subsequent watches, it kind of gets a bit thin.
This is the sort of thing where, as if it was a Tarantino film, it would be every time we passed over a shot of a person, it would freeze frame, and you'd have Samuel L. Jackson would give a little narration about them, with maybe a little flashback sequence as well.
Oh, yeah. Something he did in Hawaii 4 weeks before he was deployed.
Exactly, yeah.
Oh, yeah. But, yeah, I suppose we need we need an in as an audience into this.
Yeah, because again, it's a tight knit unit. They've been together at least since Africa, it would seem, given the sergeant's collection of dirt. And I mean, the invasion of North Africa was, I think, 1942. So, at least a couple of years together. Yeah.
We get a mention of the Corporal Upham was asking where the captain is from. And this is the building that I like, that it's building up a the pool isn't mentioned just yet, but there is a pool running to find out where the captain is from, what he did before he went into the military or was drawn up. And I like that. I feel that would happen as well.
Well, you get a sense that these men all really respect the captain and are somewhat in awe of him. You have the bit when Jackson and who was the other one who was griping? I can't remember. It wasn't Vin Diesel's character, was it?
Mellish.
No. Was it Mellish? Anyway, they're griping about having to do this, how they don't think it's fair, and one of them points out that, well, look, I feel sorry for the guy's mother, but I have a mother. Jackson has a mother. The captain, well, no, maybe the captain doesn't have a mother, but the rest of us all have mothers, and it's this sense that he's like a machine.
Mm. Yeah, it's so good. Also, foobar is brought up for the very first time.
Foobar. Do you know what foobar means?
Yes, I'm well aware of what foobar means. But
do you know what snafu is?
Snafu. Was that mentioned in the film?
It's not in the film, but it's another popular one.
Okay, hang on, snafu. How are we spelling snafu?
SNAFU.
No, go on. You're going to have to...
Situation normal, all fucked up.
Oh, no. I love these little things.
Oh, yeah.
Well, this is the first time foobar's mentioned, and Corporal Upham doesn't understand what foobar is all about. Yes.
He's told it's German.
He's looking for his book as well.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Because that comes up later on as well.
Uh-huh.
Oh, when they meet the paratroopers and the downed plane, and he's still looking through the book. He's like, no, I can't find it in here. Oh, no. But yeah, okay, right. So we've had our story set out. We know exactly where we are, and then we hit a first situation, which I like. This is the building that we get in this film. We've had a wonderful first scene. We've already built up our crew, and now we're on to a first objective.
Oh, yes.
And it's in a town. I can't remember the name of the town now. I haven't written down the name of the town. But it's just a real foobard town, isn't it?
Yeah. This was the first one, wasn't it? With Paul Giamatti as the Staff Sergeant Hill?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it just starts raining as well. And I love how the rain is brought in as well. Because they're walking across the fields and it ever so slightly starts to rain and slowly builds up, hitting the leaves, and then all of a sudden we're in this scene and we are drenched.
Well, it's the sound as well. It's not the sound of rain you're hearing initially, it's the sound of gunfire, but it's overlaid with the rain.
That's right, yes.
So they do the same sort of trick in Apocalypse Now, where you see the ceiling fan and it's the sound of a Huey.
Yes.
And your brain connects the two. We do later find out that it is distant gunfire, but at the time it just sounds like it's coming from the rain. It's very well done.
Yeah, I love it. So yeah, we meet what was his name again? Paul
Giamatti as Staff Sergeant Hill.
Yes. And he's leading a team at the moment, but they're trying to take
They're split.
They've got Germans in the town, haven't they?
Yes, there's snipers and just Germans holed up in the town. Little snipers' nests and things like that. And they're trying to clear the town. The Germans are trying to kill as many allies as they can and hold out for reinforcements.
Yeah, and what's his name? Vin Diesel. We have Private Capazzo. Is it Capazzo?
Yeah, Capazzo.
Yeah. He gets taken out.
Well, we've got... so they meet up with the staff sergeant and they have to make their way across the town. They're warm as snipers. And they encounter a bombed out building with a French family in it.
Yeah, that's right.
And the French family are all like, oh, please take our children. And Miller's like, well, we can't take your children. But Vin Diesel decides that he is going to take the child because it reminds him of his niece. Goes up there and brings her down.
And then what's the first thing he does? He takes his helmet off again. He takes his helmet off and grabs a girl. It's almost a symbol of if you take your helmet off, you're dead.
Well, to be fair, it wasn't a headshot which took him down.
No, it wasn't, no.
But yeah, it's It's almost that feeling of feeling too safe, I suppose, or something like that. But yeah, I mean that it's a harrowing scene. He gets shot, and he kind of takes a couple of steps, and then he just kind of falls down, and it's in the rain, and you just got the blood pooling away from him, and it's so torturous just watching him there, just out of reach. He's like less than 6 feet away from him, and they can't get to him.
It's an in and out shot as well, isn't it?
Oh yeah,
it's an in and out shot. It just tears him up inside, and the way he staggers around, it's just it's really gut wrenching. I feel it's so well done from Vin Diesel, and was this his first feature film? I think he was an unknown.
It's not his first feature film, but it's I mean, he was in a couple of other things, but I think one he was just an extra, and in another one he directed it himself. Not a big thing. Yeah. But this was certainly the first thing he really. This was certainly the first time anyone became aware of Vin Diesel. But yeah, another standout in this scene is Daniel Jackson again, the sniper.
Yep.
Who goes off to take out the German sniper, and we get something worthy of Enemy at the Gates. A very little sniper duel, where he shoots the guy right through the bloody viewfinder, doesn't he?
Yeah, this has been done on Mythbusters as well, hasn't it?
Oh yeah.
450 yards, I think he said he was, give or take, and I think Mythbusters proved that you wouldn't be able to do it within that range.
No, Mythbusters couldn't replicate it, but they have the evidence that it actually happened.
Oh, okay.
So it was a situation where they couldn't replicate the results, but they have concrete evidence it actually happened. So it remained plausible, I believe.
Ah, okay. That's interesting. That is interesting. I see Enemy at the Gates. I flipping love it because it is just sniper versus sniper, and you put into that rain and the atmosphere that is you got a person down already. He knows the other guys are there, and the way that Jackson just sneaks around and just hides himself as a sniper. And yet he's taking his time. It's all misty all over the place as well. And yet he still finds his spot and he gets his kill.
Oh yeah, you got a great shot from the German sniper POV where he's just kind of looking over. You got Vin Diesel on the floor. You can just make out the side of Captain Miller, and then he's going over debris. And just as you make out the sniper, he's dead.
Yeah. It's a 1 in a million shot, but so well executed. I feel so well executed. Vin Diesel is now dead, though.
Oh yeah, he was holding out this letter to his parents, and it's a pretty harrowing scene.
Yeah, one thing that really tidies this scene up, I feel, the little girl goes back to the dad and really socks it to him as well.
Oh yeah.
Really takes him to town and tells him exactly how she feels about him. Yeah, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you handing me off to a strange soldier that could or could not be an enemy? We do not know. Oh man, it's just so well balanced, I feel.
It is, and as you say though, Vin Diesel is dead, and the captain admonishes everyone else as to this is why we can't take civilians. And they continue off looking for the rest of Paul Giamatti's company. We have quite an entertaining moment where he stops to fix something in his boots and he knocks a board which knocks down a wall, and there's just a room full of Germans standing there, and you've got a Mexican standoff.
Oh yes. And you got all the Americans just shouting at them, and you got all the Germans shouting back at them, all guns raised, just waiting for someone to pull trigger.
And then Ted Danson walks in and kills them all.
Ted flipping Danson.
Didn't see that coming, did you?
No. First time round, I can't even remember his character in Cheers now. What was his character in Cheers?
He was Dr. John Becker. No, that was Sam Malone. That was it.
Sam, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we've got Ted Danson on the scene. Captain Hamill.
Yes. Fred Hamill.
Fred Hamill.
Pathfinder.
Okay. And he has a Ryan in his group.
Has a James Ryan.
Yes. So this is, what's his name? Fillion, isn't it?
This is Nathan Fillion.
Even this watch, I didn't know this was Nathan Fillion.
Really?
Until after the end. When the credits came up and it said Nathan Fillion, I was like, oh shit, I missed him. Who is he? And I had to go searching for who it was.
Oh, yeah. No, it's one of those, once you see it, you can never unsee it.
Mm.
This was actually, this wasn't his first film. This was his second film, though.
Okay. What did he do prior to this then?
Something called Strange and Rich, which has no Wikipedia page, so I have no. I'm guessing it's a God only knows no-name film. But yeah, I mean, he'd done a little bit of TV before this, but this was really his first big film role. Not that it's a big role in the film, but it's a big film with him in it.
Yeah. And then he went on to do some overrated show.
Ooh, careful.
Oh, come on, man. It's good, but it ain't that good.
I've killed people for less.
Are you a massive fan of Firefly then?
I was at the cinema opening night to see Serenity, where you had the special message from Joss Whedon about it. Still fucking hurts, bastards. You weren't there, man. You weren't there, man.
I wonder why I wasn't there. Firefly's good. It is very good. It's not as good as, okay, my personal opinion, it's not as good as what people have made it out to be.
Yes, but I think our last point on this, because we're going to get slightly the other here, but the reason it's not as good as people make it out is because people make it out to be an amazing thing if they were in it at the beginning.
Yeah. If
you were there on the ground floor, 2002 when it first started.
Before it was cool to like it.
Before Battlestar Galactica, before all that sort of stuff. If you were on board at that point, and it was so great, and then also Serenity, after that, it just became exponentially more and more popular, and people started bigging it up more and more and more.
Yeah.
It's like The Arrival. It gets bigged up to the point where you go in expecting the second coming of Christ, and you go, yeah, it's all right.
Which I did. Oh dear. Okay, right. I'll stop bashing Firefly. Not that I'm bashing it hard.
That weren't bashing Firefly at all. No.
Yeah, I didn't know that this was Fillion. So once I know that now, I've got something else to look at this film for. I've got that to enjoy next time round, and I'll probably forget until that point again.
Oh yeah.
But
the problem I find with it now is because now I know it's Nathan Fillion, I find it very hard to take the character seriously at this point.
Right, okay. What, over dramatic or what?
Well, it's just Nathan Fillion, he's very self-deprecating.
Right.
I mean, even in Firefly as Mal Reynolds, sort of very dry, self-deprecating sort of humor about him. And, he's a big guy, but, he kind of comes across a little bit, I don't know what the right word to use there, but when I see him running in there, I don't see Private James Frederick Ryan. I see Nathan Fillion.
Right.
There,
Okay.
And I think this is a situation where, and the same thing happened with Matt Damon to an extent, where what's happened is they've cast who was effectively a no-name in a small role, who's since gone on to become a big name.
Mm.
And it's very hard to now look at it and not say, oh, that's, so-and-so. No, now it's, oh, that's Nathan Fillion. And again, because Nathan Fillion is so known for his comedy, you keep waiting for the sly look at the camera, the wink, the nod, the laugh, which you don't get. Like when he starts bursting into tears and crying and being upset about his young family and all that, his young brothers and all that, I don't quite feel this is a genuine, oh my God, I'm, so upset about this, so much as it's Nathan Fillion gooning for the camera.
Yeah, you're seeing Fillion there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is strange because whenever I watch this, I get the complete opposite of Tom Hanks in this movie. I feel that he fits into this role so well that Tom Hanks disappears.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Tom Hanks does this quite a few times in a couple of roles. Apollo 13 is another good example.
Mm-hmm.
I don't watch that and see Tom Hanks in the spacecraft. I see Jim Lovell, But yeah, it's with Tom Hanks, he completely disappears into this role. And, I totally 100% buy that's what he's doing. But, Tom Hanks is a multiple award winner for good reason.
Yes.
Because he does that sort of stuff. But I just find, I expect if Nathan Fillion had been one of the squad and we'd spent more time with him and gotten to know the character a little bit more, it wouldn't be so hard. Mm-hmm. But we only see him in one scene here.
Yeah.
And, it's a little bit overly dramatic.
Okay, fair enough. So, yeah, he's called up to the front. Miller sits him down, tells him to take a knee, and tells him that his brother's dead. And like you say, we get all this dramatic acting from Nathan Fillion. And the bottom lip comes out from him.
Oh, yes.
Finding out about his brothers. But his brother, the twist in this story is it is James Ryan. But it's James Frederick Ryan, not James Francis Ryan. And
from Minnesota.
Yes, and they've got the wrong Ryan, and his brothers are alive, and they are back at home, and there's nothing to worry about whatsoever. It's just a massive screw up. And yeah, I feel the story needs this. Otherwise, it's just obvious that we're going to find Ryan at the very end of the movie. And you need to have these missteps along the way. And I feel sorry for James Frederick Ryan for this because it's terrible news. He's in a war and he's got no way of talking back home. He's no way of getting back home. The army doesn't work that way. You've got to suck it up and carry on. You've had this bad news and now you don't know. It's probably screwed up the rest of the war for him, and it could possibly be his downfall later on, but we don't get that story. No. But it's such a screw up. But we move on from there, and then we find another airborne that has fallen and landed, broken his ankle, I think it was.
Yes, there was another one there, and he tells them there's a rally point they were all heading to. Baker Company was with the same rally point his company was, which was some field or something, as I recall. Can't remember exactly where it was.
Yeah.
But they have somewhere to go to now.
Yes. So, but they take the night though, don't they? They have a couple of hours. We get this lull in the movie.
Yes.
Where you get to speak. You find out about a couple of the characters. We find out about Wade.
A chance to breathe a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Find out about Wade and his mum coming home from work and him just laying there pretending to be asleep. While he's copying out the letter that Capazzo left.
Yeah, because it had been stained with his blood. So, the last thing you really want to do is deliver the last letter from the guy's son covered in his own blood.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. I really don't.
Really?
Yeah.
Why not?
I don't know. I just don't know.
I don't think he was going to try and pass it off as the actual letter so much as this was what was said, but it's somewhat irrelevant anyway because it was never going to be delivered now, was it?
I get the idea behind it. I get the sentiment behind it. I think it's a beautiful thing to do. But I don't know.
Mm.
It's I just don't know. Honestly, don't know. But that's just me. I don't know where I sit with that. Whether I would want the original letter or not, or whether I would want the original letter sent back. I find it so hard.
Mm.
But it puts me in a nice place where I'm thinking about it.
Oh yeah, I got to be honest. I never found that strange at all, to be honest. But there you go. We do get a nice bit of bonding as well between the captain and Upham as well.
Is this about the pool?
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh, what is it? There's something I can't remember. Yeah, they're talking about the pool and talking about splitting it as well, waiting for it to go up to 500.
Upper Mast, where's he from? And then the captain goes, well, what's the pool up to? And he says, $300. And he goes, well, I'll tell you what. How about we wait until he gets to 500, then I'll tell you and we can split it. And then Upham says, well, as a member of this company, I should, suggest we maybe wait till he gets to 1,000. And they kind of smile, but then the captain says, we might not live long enough for it to get to 1,000. Which is, it's kind of taking a good humor, but it's still a bit dark at that point. It's gallows humor sort of thing, I suppose.
Yeah.
And they agree, 500 would be enough.
Yeah, I think it is the gallows humor, and you do need that because I think there was a lot of gallows humor around. I would like to think that there was a lot of gallows humor as well.
Oh, I think there would have had to be. You're not going to get through otherwise, are you?
No. But it is, as you say, it is a nice place to breathe. It's the setting is really dark. It's candle lights or torch lights as well in a church, very serene. And there's a beautiful shot where they're walking across the field straight after that, and you've got the explosions, the high intensity explosions in the background as well.
Oh yeah, I was just going to say about that church. I mean, it's such a nice sequence. They actually lifted it almost wholesale into Band of Brothers, didn't they?
I'm trying to remember whereabouts.
I can't remember the exact episode. I just know at some point they stop in a church and they take a moment to kind of just go over what's happened so far. People who've died, they just kind of slowly just fade out from the pew sort of thing. But yeah, anyway, that comes later.
So we're on our way. We meet
it's the crash glider, isn't it?
Yeah, it's it was dropping the 101 over the fields.
Yes, the 101st.
And the pilot took fire, ended up putting it down. This was the dude from Alien Resurrection. I forget his name now, though.
Leland Orser.
Yeah.
Who's playing Second Lieutenant De Wint. But yeah, he was in a glider with a 1-star general with a jeep and a lot of armor plating, which no one thought to mention to the pilot. So that was awkward.
You do hear of these stories of it was forgotten to tell certain people about these important aspects of their mission that they're just about to take hold.
Yeah. Yeah, you just definitely get this sense that they, of all the people to tell, the pilot, yeah. I mean, to be fair, he himself has a certain responsibility to make sure he is aware. They do walk-arounds before they fly a plane for a reason. But yeah, he crashed. The general died, but the rally point, and you have lots and lots of wounded airborne. You have Wade goes off to start helping where he can, administering first aid,
which I love. I love that he just goes into a medical role straight away.
Absolutely. We never see him holding a gun either. I think he's supposed to be a conscientious objector.
Oh, okay.
Because I think that's something that also carried over into Band of Brothers at one point. But yeah, you never see him carrying a weapon, carrying on. I don't know if that's just something all medics did or what the situation is there. But yeah, he goes off and he's tending where he can, helping. And the rest of them are just trying to see if Ryan is amongst the wounded there.
Yeah.
The lieutenant gives them a bag full of dog tags of people who've died.
Oh, yeah.
And it gets a bit dark. It gets a lot dark. Where you have who is it? It's Mellish, and who's the other one doing it?
Mellish. We have Jackson there as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And
there was a third. No,
there's a third.
Miller comes along as well.
Miller comes along, but there's another one there. It's the one who ends up having the threatening to walk away after the attack on the machine gun nest.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Reben?
Yeah. I think that's him, yeah.
I think it is, yeah.
He Yeah.
It's the gallows humor again, though, isn't it? It's sitting down and going through dog tags. They even find that one with the bullet going through the dog tag. And they're like,
Well, it's partly gallows humor, I think, but it's also this sense of they're just not aware of what's going on around them because they're there. You know, they've kind of divvied out these dog tags, and to them, they're just names. They're just like, whatever. This isn't the guy. This isn't the guy. They're even making a game of it. Who can get it first wins. And meanwhile, you have all these wounded 101st are walking in, staring at them. And even the captain's there just kind of going through these dog tags. And the only person that's realised what's going on is Wade. And he kind of runs over and tells them, what the fuck are you doing? What are you playing at? You're doing this in full view of these guys coming in wounded, you know? These aren't names on metal. These are their friends. These are their brothers.
yeah, that's right.
You know? These are all people. And you're just there tossing them aside as if they're worthless because it doesn't have the name you want on it. And it's just a very nice little moment. Even the captain's kind of become so jaded at this point because, you know, he's going to do his mission.
They're after a name at this point,
Yeah,
aren't
exactly. It's just a name. It's that they're doing a tick box exercise. And yeah, I mean, you can kind of get the sense that the captain's near the end of his tether at this point, you know, because it's, you know, he's already lost a man. He's already traded one life for a life.
Yeah. And now it's almost equal now. So if they find him, then it doesn't take or bring back Capazzo, does it?
No. And Capazzo was their friend. He was their brother. You know, this is just a name, like you said. And he starts, you know, shouting at all the wounded coming in until someone points out and go, hey, doesn't so-and-so know Ryan? And we get the guy with the who the bomb's gone off nearby and he's lost his hearing. Which is, again, a kind of a darkly funny moment where he's shouting everything and repeating everything that's said.
Yeah, it is a light moment, I suppose, in a very tragic instance because Miller, like you say, I feel he's lost confidence in the mission already, in the actual objective of the mission. And he's just looking for a name on these dog tags. He's also clutching at straws. He said before he left the beach that it's trying to find a needle in a stack of needles. And it is. And now he's just walking around shouting out Ryan's name, hoping to grasp something. And just by chance, and as Hollywood would have it, that someone knows someone who knows someone who knows Ryan.
Well, I was going to say, though, I mean, you definitely get the sense that this is a situation where, you know, someone high up has thought this is a great idea, but it's down to the man on the ground to fix this.
Yeah.
And, you know, again, he's already found a James Ryan, but that's not good enough.
Yeah.
You know, it's not the right James Ryan. So, yeah, it's just a little bit kind of, and such is the nature of it. But yeah, we find out that Ryan was with this guy, and they'd gone off. They'd been seconded by a colonel to go and defend a bridge.
Yeah, in Rommel.
So at least they know where he was last seen, and they have a direction to go to. So pack up your gear. Here we go again.
Yeah. So. Okay, so once again, we're walking along, aren't we? Walking along.
Oh, yes.
Beautiful fields as well, I must say. We come across a radar station.
Yeah.
And I think this is building up. This is Miller building up again. He has his objective of finding Ryan, but he also comes across this radar station, and everyone in his squad is telling him to, you know, let's swing by and forget about this radar station that I have.
Well, he comes across the radar station, but he also comes across the bodies who've been mowed down by it.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's come across that, and I think personally at this point, he was probably affected by how blasé he was with the dog tags, how little he cared. You know.
Yeah.
He'd forgotten that each one of those dog tags represented a person. You know, they were just names. So I think in his mind, he's trying to atone for that.
Yeah, and he might as well die trying to take a radar station on the way to trying to find Ryan instead of just diverting past the radar station.
Yeah, I mean, as he says, if they walk past it, they're just going to ambush someone else there.
Yeah.
So yeah, they have a spirited discussion as to why this is a bad idea, and they get told this isn't a democracy. We're doing this. Shut up and let's do it. And they storm the radar station, but we, the audience, stay behind with Upham, who was told to hang back.
Yep.
And hid behind a cow.
Yes, it was a cow. Yeah, and I think there's a couple of other times where people hide behind cows on this, but you get a lovely, we've already had the boots on ground fighting on the beach. We've already had that close quarters combat that we're all used to, but now we're at a distance. We're safe at a distance, but yet we're seeing our friends being attacked and attacking, and the quickness of a short skirmish that would happen here as well. Grenades being thrown. We're in safe comfort behind a cow, and yet we know the danger of our friends just up the hill doing this. And once all the skirmish is over, the gunfire ceases, and then you have the screams and shouts.
Well, I just wanted to say before we got to that as well, though, we're starting to get a sense of the unity's breaking down in the squad. It's starting to take a strain. Because you consider everything up to that point, they've had 100% full confidence in the captain and would effectively follow him to hell and back.
Yeah.
Certainly that's the impression. But there's been dissent in the ranks here. Don't think this is a good idea. We're going to do this. Who's going to go left? And, he has to ask like 3 or 4 times before someone says, I'll go left.
Yeah, I suppose up until that mission, if he'd asked who's going left, he would have just had someone say, okay, I will. And that would have been it. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're getting that sense. But yeah, they've stormed the nest. The gunfire ceased. The screaming has begun. And Wade's gotten hit. Not sure why Wade went up the centre. I would have thought he'd have hung back until they found out who was wounded. But anyway, he got hit.
This is one of the problems I thought I had with Saving Private Ryan, with Wade. And the way that I've generally watched Saving Private Ryan in being you have set components of a war film, and once they're used up, then they are disposed of.
Uh-huh.
And this time round, you only lose 2 people, really, up until the final piece.
Yeah.
And it isn't as straightforward as you have 4 set pieces, you lose 4 soldiers, but you don't need these 4 soldiers for the next battles that you're going to come across. And I suppose I've had rose-tinted specs on it for a certain amount of time. For a period of time, I thought it was just a by-the-numbers war movie, and then I disappeared, and I had new light drawn upon it on this time, I suppose. It's not as straightforward as, okay, now we don't need the medic for the next 4 scenes, so we're going to lose our medic now. It's not that simple a story.
Oh no, not at all. And again, it's we've spent time with this guy. We know him. We know the story about him and his mother.
Yeah.
We've seen him writing out Capazzo's note to his dad. We've seen him screaming frustration on the beach when he couldn't save the guy. We've seen him, just walking through the wounded 101st and trying to save them, and then admonishing his captain for just dealing out with the dog tags. We've got, of everyone, he's certainly the most compassionate one there. And he's a medic at the end of the day. And he's wounded. They're all trying to help him. Everyone has come to the medic to help. They're saying, "Tell me, what can we do to help you? What do we do?" Feels around the back. They turn him over. They do that, and then he feels that it's his liver, and he goes, "Oh God, it's my liver." And he goes, "What do we do? What do we do to fix you?" And he just looks at him and says, "Well, some more morphine would be good."
Yeah, jeez.
And it's instantly, without it being said, they know what that means.
Yeah.
They can't help him. And yeah, it's rough. It's of all the deaths in the film, this is probably one of the roughest.
this is a gut punch.
It is.
Because we have enjoyed time with him, and he is a sympathetic
and of everyone,
character.
he's the most sympathetic, the most, inverted commas, innocent of the characters, you know? And yeah, it's horrible. Again, it just kind of reinforces the whole war is hell. But yeah, they give him the extra shot of morphine, and it stops hurting.
Yeah, he's saying "mama" as well, which
he's crying for his mum as well, which is just
which reaches back to that story that he told in the church as well. Oh man,
it's hard. And I got to tell you, you know, straight afterwards, you know, I'm with Reuben and Mellish and all that. Yeah, go shoot that motherfucker.
Yeah, because there is one German left, isn't there?
Yeah, there's one German survived. He's standing there, his arm, you know, his hands up. Don't shoot, don't shoot, don't shoot. But they make it very clear they're about to shoot him. But Upham's, you know, very much, you can't do that. He surrendered. It's against the rules. And yeah, they just, have the other guys are like, don't give a fuck. Gonna kill him.
Yeah, I feel the movie takes a real dark turn in tone around about now, because you we've just lost one of our favourite characters in the movie, and we have the rest of our band going up and confronting the enemy who is disarmed, and they're going to kick the living shit out of him, really, aren't they? It all descends into chaos with people not listening to their captain, not listening to orders, disrespecting orders, and threatening to walk away. And
well, again, you know, as Reuben says, this is a chicken shit mission.
Yeah,
it's now, James Ryan has now cost them 2 of their family. 2 of them are gone. Two mothers have lost their sons on account of this other one, and their mission was, even if that was their mission wasn't to take out the machine gun net. So yeah, he's pretty pissed. What he views as a waste of time, and then to top it all off, he has this opportunity to shoot the guy who killed the medic, you know, to get at least some satisfaction, some bloody vengeance. And the captain says no. That's not the way it's done. You know, the captain, I think, was very tempted, but you know, Upham being the little angel on his shoulder, you know, saying this is wrong, you can't do this, it's against the rules, this isn't who we are, agrees to let him go. And yeah, the tension, you know, they start to come really unstuck at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, again, this kind of suffers from, this is only a film as opposed to a mini-series. In a mini-series, we can have like 4 or 5 episodes. This is the sort of thing that happens around episode 3 or 4, you know, before the end of a climax. And, you know, you've had more time to really, because of all the characters, I think Reuben up until this point had the least development.
Yes.
You know, he really was kind of this is the only real time we get a sense of who he is. And he's a bit of a dick, basically. But yeah, he threatens to walk off and to run away. And, you know, him and the sergeant are arguing backwards and forwards. The sergeant's, Hovarth's threatening to knock him out. Mellish is all like, guns are drawn, you know, tempers are frayed, you know, it's all going to shit. And then the captain does some beautiful bit of diffusing and tells him where he's from. He sells the pool, and nobody saw it coming.
Yeah, I love the way that, because it is kicking off so hard between his whole group, and his question is just, you know, what's the pool up to?
Yeah,
he's almost looking off into the distance, thinking about it. You know, what is the pool up to? Is he trying to defuse it? I suppose he is trying to defuse it, but in such a left field way that it confuses the people that are arguing and just gets them to focus on him.
Well, I think he's trying to explain what he's trying to get a point across, that the only reason he's doing this mission is because he wants to go home.
Yeah,
but he has this, you know, he has this reputation. He doesn't have a home. He doesn't have a mother, so he has to break that spell to instill in them why he wants to go back, and it's a beautiful little speech. I mean, it's not up there in terms of the great oratories, but it's just such sincerity in what he says and the way he says it, and yeah, it just knocks the wind out of all of their sails. No one saw it coming, either him telling him what it is or what he actually did. It turns out he's a school teacher, and as he says, when I'm back home and I say I'm a school teacher, people say, "Oh yeah, that makes sense," but out here, no, they don't see that. They see Captain Miller. And it's, again, it just kind of reinforcing that, yeah, everyone's got a life. This isn't his job. This isn't what he does. This is what he's doing. But he's only doing this because he wants to go home. He wants to get back to his wife.
Yeah.
And if saving James Ryan, because I don't care about James Ryan, I don't give a fuck. But if doing this earns me the right to go home and to see my wife, well, then I'll do that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so well done. It really is.
It really is.
Is it at this point that they let the German go and send him at 1,000 paces?
They've already let him go when he says no. They already let him go because it's him letting them go that makes Reuben go, "Oh, I'm fucking off. I'm leaving. I'm going."
Right. Yeah. That's right.
Because he's like, he's not going to surrender himself. He's just going to go and join up with the next bunch of Germans he finds and all this, and the sergeant's threatening to shoot him or punch him or everything. And I mean, they're all the death of Wade really cut up the team. He was, he seems like he was the sort of guy who was the glue that held them all together.
Yeah, definitely. At that point, yeah.
Probably the mother hen as well.
Yes, yeah, So we bury Wade.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lovely shot, another silhouette that works so well. It's they're doing some digging, I think it is, and there's a silhouette of Miller on one of the mounds, and in the background of Miller you have trees.
Yeah,
but it's all meshed into barbed wire as well, and it's almost saying about what he's going through. One side of his shoulder is trees and where he wants to be, and on the other side of his shoulder is where he is now. It's hell.
Yeah.
And it's so subtle, and the way that the barbed wire and the trees all mesh into one, it's as if they become one in the middle. And it's just another thing that you just tend to catch when you've seen everything. You'll catch this on your 10th view or so, but it's such a beautiful shot.
Oh, again, there's just so many. I mean, we didn't speak about it, but the first time you see them coming over the hill when they set off on the mission, the poster shot effectively.
Mm-hmm.
The cinematography in this was done by I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce that name. Janusz Kaminski. But yeah, they developed a lot of the techniques that are now, again, we've said this before, are just so cliched when it comes to war films. But, again, it's just so well done.
Yeah, I suppose it was the second, not the second coming, but the reimagining of war films, wasn't it?
Pretty much. I mean, up until this point, you think if you said war film prior to this, people were probably going to be thinking, on the British side, kind of a very 1950s Tally-ho, Fifth and all that World War chaps. We had The Longest Day and things like that. But yeah, really, this was the one that reinvented them as, this very visceral, real sense of, not shying away from the horrors, if you will.
Yeah, I feel without Saving Private Ryan, you couldn't just put big name actors into a military suit without seeing the big name actors in a military uniform.
Yeah,
and yet this kind of adds a sepia overtone of it, so everyone blends in as one.
Mm-hmm.
It has done wonders for the genre, I feel.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this is 98. It's the same year that Thin Red Line came out as well. Very different films, though.
Yes.
Both in tone and setting and everything. But, you can see how both of these films kind of influenced everything that came after them.
Yeah. I do like Thin Red Line, though.
Oh, maybe some point in the future we will have to visit that as well, but that is for before we do the Pacific, we'll have to do a thin red line.
Definitely. Okay, right. Shall we move on with this then?
Yeah. I mean, pretty much after that, they encounter the half track, don't they?
Yep.
Which suddenly blows up. Then they kill the Germans, and then up pops 3 airborne, and ta-da! Here's Ryan.
Nice one. It's cheesy,
Yeah,
but I think they handle it quite well.
they do. It's kind of nice the way it happens. I find it hard to believe they'd wait until they got all the way back to the town before they had the chat with Ryan. Just given all the shit they've just gone through, I almost think they'd say it there and then what it was, but fair dues. But
I think his company would want him to just say it there and then. It's as if Miller wants to get somewhere else, unless it's just over the hill.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we don't really get a sense of where the half track is encountered compared to the town, but it just feels like there's a gap between the shot being fired and him being told.
Yeah. So we lose the half track. We find Ryan. We get taken back to the town that they're held up.
Should we just talk briefly about Matt Damon at this point, because this is 1998. Matt Damon was actually cast because he'd done a few bits and pieces, but he was largely unknown.
Okay, right. Hang on. Let me find him first. I need to see what he'd been up to before then, because I'd seen him in a couple of things.
The thing is, what happened was, he'd been in Courage Under Fire. Again, he's a very small role in that, but does it very well. Chasing Amy, he's an extra in that basically, but he did Good Will Hunting right before this, which blew up. So all of a sudden, he'd become a huge name star while this was being filmed. So the whole thing about him being a nameless face, as it were, suddenly went away. And now it's Matt Damon. It's a very young Matt Damon, but it's still Matt Damon.
Yeah. Do you know, I think I'd seen Rounders and Dogma before I saw Saving Private Ryan.
Okay.
And Rounders is brilliant. Dogma. I don't like Dogma. But yeah, that's for another day.
And another cast.
Yeah. So yeah, I suppose I was used to seeing him. He was the flavour of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And really hasn't gone away since.
No, they keep having to send people to go and rescue him, though.
Yes, yeah, there is many films about him getting stuck somewhere.
Yeah, and then having to send people to go and rescue him.
Was this the first one?
I think this was.
This is the first Operation Matt
Bring
Damon.
him home. Yes.
Operation Damon, bring him home.
Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, that was just I thought it was worth mentioning. At the time of casting, though, he was supposed to be an unknown. But oh well, never mind.
Yeah. Okay, so we're in the town. We have another little lull here before the final battle, I suppose it is.
Well, we have the captain tells Ryan why the whole reason of the mission, and we get a very good, it's certainly a lot more believable than Nathan Fillion's response, at least in my opinion. The reaction, he's obviously hurt and cut up and upset by it. But he's very much, well, why do I get to go home when these guys don't? I'm going to stay here and finish. You have your orders, I have my orders. And then all of a sudden, he goes back to be with the only brothers he has left, as he says. And it's a really nice little thing. He kind of defiantly walks away, jumps over, sits down. I mean, you got one of the guys comes over just to kind of comfort him.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, Captain Miller's like, okay, didn't know what to do in this situation. Or perhaps more realistically, he knew this was going to happen, but still doesn't know what to do.
He was putting it off until it actually slapped him in the face.
Yeah.
And then I suppose he was hoping that he'd know how to deal with it when it came, or the situation had arisen. And
I think he probably was hoping he was already dead.
yeah, probably, yeah. The way that he was going through the dog tags, I think that lends that to it. But yeah,
it's a nice little moment with him and Mike. What do we do?
Yeah, but this is the calm before the storm, though, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
And so we have Captain Miller talking about. I can't remember the story that he's talking about. Where they're outside on the building, he puts his feet up and he's talking to Matt Damon. And Matt Damon.
Oh, that came a bit. That comes a little bit after that, because before that we have Mike and the captain are like, "What should we do?" And Mike says, "Well, maybe we should help them, because if we help them hold this bridge, this one last bridge, which would stop the Germans reinforcing their positions, then it would have been worth something. It would have made sense. The death of Wade, Capazio, everything. It would have had meaning. Whereas if they just say, oh, well, we turned up, he doesn't want to come, going back, they'd have died for nothing."
Yeah. It gives the mission a meaning, yeah.
It gives them purpose. It gives them a sense. And it's kind of, I like the sense that you get the impression that the captain had already come to that conclusion, but he kind of wanted the rest of them to get there as well on their own. He didn't want to have to order them to do this so much as it would be worthwhile for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have that, and then they come up with a plan at that point, and then they have the chat you're talking about. So should we talk about the plan first?
Okay, yeah, go on then. The idea is that there's a panzer. I wouldn't know how to name a collective of panzers.
Well, you've got the German tanks are advancing. I think they're just panzers. But yeah, the basic plan is if they can disable one down the main avenue, it forces the Germans to go
down the centre.
Down the centres, other ways, basically, through kill zones, chokeholds. So they come up with some plans. They talk about the sticky bombs, which are real things.
Yep.
They talk about the Alamo, where if the Germans get through to a certain point, the last man alive will go back and blow up the bridge, denying it to the enemy.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all still hoping for reinforcements, but they know everyone's stretched very thin and it's unlikely to come and happen. The sniper sees a bell tower and he says, "Yeah, well, I can get up there, and machine gun will be useful up there." They basically make their plan. It's the A-Team moment, basically.
It is, yeah.
Where
I'm glad you said that.
if you had the A-Team music playing, it wouldn't look out of place at all.
It's montage part, isn't it? Really,
it really is montage part. But that's when after that you have this quiet moment where the captain and Ryan are sitting down, just talking, and Ryan is talking about his, says how he can't see their faces. And the captain says, you need to think of a situation. Don't think of their faces. Think of a scenario where they were in, and they'll come to him. And then he starts recounting this time where him and his brothers snuck on their eldest brother with a date, which is a really bad story, but it was completely unscripted and made up on the spot because Spielberg wanted something that kind of felt authentic.
Yeah.
So just kind of didn't give him any notes. Just said, make up something on the spot. And it's really bad, but it works because it's really bad. It's the kind of thing someone in grief would kind of relate in that sort of way. And
that's why it feels so awkward.
Yeah. Yeah, it really does. And it works.
Yeah, there is an awkward tone to it. And the laughing through it. And I suppose now when you look at it, maybe if he was making that up on the spot, the laughing about it would give him time to think about what he's saying.
Yeah.
And so that adds to the awkwardness that you feel, because every time I watch that, it does feel very awkward. Yeah.
It feels very awkward, but it really works because of it. And again, it makes a lot of sense. It's that sense of, well, yeah, he's still processing the grief.
Yeah.
It's I mean, hell, my cat fucking died 2 weeks ago and I'm still cut up about it.
Yeah.
And he's just been told his three brothers have died, but he can't, go off and shut himself off or do anything. He's still got to work. He's still got shit to do. so there's a lot of shit he's trying to process there, and it's done really, really well. And again, the way Tom Hanks is just very patiently just sitting there listening, just letting him do what he needs to do.
Yeah, he's the outlet for him, isn't he?
It is, and it's kind of like the last moment of peace. It's the final calm before the storm, if you will. It's the final moment of rest, because after that, shit be hitting the fan.
Yeah. Well, we find out what foobar means, or Upham finds out what foobar means. Upham
finally manages to bond with what was the guy's name? Melsing?
Yep.
Yeah. You know, he's finally kind of accepted as one of them. You know, it's a nice little moment, I thought. I like that. It was a nice little touch. Ends up being rather tragic, but we'll talk about that in a bit.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
so
it's
the idea of this plan, as you said, about battle.
Should we tell everyone what FUBAR stands for?
Okay, yeah, go on. I'll let you do that, your honours.
FUBAR, fucked up beyond all reason.
I thought it was all recognition.
Recognition, reason, repair. There are many variations. Yeah. It could also be fouled up beyond. Yeah. I like my personal confab of snafu bar.
Right, okay, hang on. I'm going to have to go back to... What? Hang on. I've written this down somewhere. Snafu. That was... Oh! No, you're going to have to remind me again.
Situation normal, all fucked up, beyond all reason.
That's it. Flipping out. See, it reminds me of when I'm at work, people put down initials for stuff that's happened at work on these log cards. Yeah. And I write down, let's say I find a machine running. And so I put, I would in the olden days put ROA, running on arrival. And then people would come along and they would put their own interpretation. So they put WOA, working on arrival. And then they put NFF, no fault found. And LIS, left in service. And so you'd have this log card with WOA, NFF, LIS. And to people who don't understand that, it means nothing. And some people would actually fill out their timesheets with this written on there. And people at the office would go, what does this mean? It doesn't mean a single thing. It's, I like it, but it's once again in a situation, in a military situation, in an industrial situation, people find ways of shortening things.
Oh, we used to have one in IT. It's called PepCap.
What? I don't, you've lost me already.
PEBKAC.
Okay.
Shall I tell you?
Yeah, because,
Problem exists between keyboard and chair.
Ah. Oh, I might have to use that.
Help yourself.
Fuck it. I'm definitely using it. Screw them losers. But yeah, okay. So we now know what FUBAR means.
Yes.
We know that they're going to use they're going to send the rabbit out, shall we say?
Yes, a little, I think it's German, little half-track motorcycle.
Yeah. And draw them in.
Try and draw them down the alleyway, yeah, because if a tank doesn't come down the alleyway, well, they're kind of fucked.
Yeah. And this is when it really kicks off, because you have the sound of rumbling in the background as well.
Oh, yes. Yes. Oh. Deep drums.
It is, yeah. And we know that the final battle is just about to commence. We've got we've got Jackson in the bell tower,
giving him hand signals. Yeah,
I love the hand signals.
Yeah,
works so well, and it's so clear, precise, and they're on their game. Oh, just beautiful. It really is.
And everyone's in position. You know, everyone's in their spots. You know, Upham's got the belts of ammunition around his neck. You got Ryan is never more than 2 feet away from Captain Miller, and that's non-negotiable.
Yes.
Everyone knows what they have to do. Everyone's ready, and now they wait, and they're sitting there waiting, and we see the first panzer go by, and it just keeps on going. And then some more infantry, and then the Tiger tank comes by, stops, turns, and starts heading down the alleyway.
Mm.
And then the first attempt with a sticky bomb, which I've got to say, always strikes me. He doesn't really have any sense of urgency, does he?
Yeah, the very first one.
Yeah. He kind of just walks out, cradling a sticky bomb on the end of its sock, going, la 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 la, stops, doesn't seem to do anything, and then explodes.
The idea of the sticky bomb was to put them on the tracks to disable the tanks.
Yes.
And he looked like he was trying to climb up the tank.
Yeah.
Maybe
I
to
don't know
drop
what
it
he was.
inside. I don't know.
Don't know what he was trying to do. Anyway, yeah, he blew up.
And in quite graphic fashion as well.
Oh, very graphic. Yes, it was. Yeah.
As if Dr. Manhattan had just said, no, waved his hand, and that's it. He's gone.
Yeah, there wasn't much left after that.
No.
Not so much as a smear on the side of the tank. But yeah, so while this is going on, the tank's rumbling by, it takes out the place where the machine gun was at first, but then they've already moved on by then.
Mm-hmm.
But then as it rolls by the captain, they stick the other sticky bombs on it and successfully blow the tracks off.
Yes.
And yeah, after that, it's kind of a bit of a free for all, really, isn't it? It's there's so much going on there.
Right. Okay. Well, let's talk about certain bits that happened during this.
Sure.
The first one I want to talk about is I can never pronounce this, but the cocktails that they drop down onto one of the half tracks.
The Molotovs?
Yeah. Yes.
Molotov cocktails.
And just the imagery that you get from this, that these are real stunts happening in front of us right now. And the way that they drop them down there, the way that they explode and just take out everyone in that half track.
Oh yeah.
It's grim. It is warfare, and it's almost hard to watch.
I will say on this one, and it's just because maybe I was looking for it, I was aware of it, but you see one of the guys looking up just before the Molotov cocktail hits, and you can see their faces covered in the flame-resistant gel or something it is.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe it's just where the balaclava is, but I just caught sight of it, and again, little moment like that, I just kind of spotted it, took me out for just a second, because it's like, oh, never noticed that before. But yeah, other than that, it's fantastic, and the way they all run out, it's quite horrifying.
Yeah, I hadn't noticed that, so I've got that for next time.
Another thing for next time. We see the tank still stranded there, but its gun's still operational. Mm-hmm. Its machine gun's still shooting away, and you have like half a squad all kind of jump up on it trying to get the grenade inside, which they managed to do. They open it up, shoot the guy, and drop a grenade inside. But then they bring up, I think it's a flat cannon.
The 20 mil.
The 20 mil, and it just mows down the side of the tank, killing everyone on top of the thing.
That gun terrifies me.
Mm.
I know guns, guns terrify me anyway, but the way that is just operated, and it's just so vicious.
Oh, properly nasty piece of work, that thing.
That's so vicious.
But it actually took down half the squad.
Yeah.
Just there and then. In fact, I'm pretty sure at that point, everyone except Ryan from the original team on the bridge is dead.
Really?
I think so, because you got the two.
I don't know. We had some people running back to the Alamo at one point, didn't we?
I think you do, but you got a couple. But really, it's. I think at least half a dozen people died on that tank from a 20 mil.
Right.
Which seems just. You didn't need all of them up there to put the grenade in the thing.
No, they all wanted to put a grenade in there themselves, didn't they?
Yeah. So the tank was disabled, but they were all dead.
Wow.
Which I tell you what, actually, it's the reverse of Fury, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. It's because Fury just sits there, doesn't it?
Yeah, Fury just sits there and just fucks everyone up.
Yeah. It's such a glorious film that is as well. I flipping love that.
Later.
Yes, yeah, later. But okay, yeah, I won't get into Fury now because I know it's it's polarizing for certain people. That film.
I can see that.
What other scene in this? Should we talk about the bell tower now?
Well, yeah, we've got Jackson up there doing his, quoting the Bible, shooting at everyone. It's not quite a one shot, one kill, but it's near enough. Makes no difference.
He's running through some ammunition as well, isn't he? You already had 1,000 rounds up there on the machine gun. He was there up there with another guy as well.
Yeah.
But they were running off the machine, and it was working really, really well. And as you say, he was doing the Bible bit, and this is where the meme comes from, isn't it? There's so many
there's
YouTube
great
videos from this. There's lots of football references of people diving around and getting shot. There was a
every
Formula
time
1.
someone trips, it will cut to. Oh, wait, you had was it the Alonso crash where he fires and then Alonso just goes.
Yeah, the British Grand Prix where everyone's tire blew up.
Yeah,
and he was in a bell tower taking them all out.
Yeah.
There's so many others as well, but I love it, and seeing him get taken out by that tank.
Oh, it's and he sees it coming as well.
Yeah,
he kind of looks down and he just kind of pauses and he just turns and he goes, "Get down!"
It's almost a reverse of what he did to the sniper earlier on in the film.
Well, yeah, it's slightly more impressive when you can shoot it with a 5.56 or 303 rifle, not a fucking tank round.
Yeah, you kind of don't have to be on point.
Yes,
but that's another gutting death because that's Wade Part 2 for me.
It is. He's certainly one of the more likable characters. We've spent quite a bit of time getting to know him. He's very distinct, who he is and his personality. And yeah, it's harsh, because again, he's effectively trapped in that bell tower. There was nowhere to run to.
No, but he knows that. He knows his mission as well. Earlier on in the film, he said about the mission being Fubar, and he said, put me within 1,000 yards of Hitler and we're all going home.
Yeah.
So he knows how important he is and how good he is as well. And we get to see how good he is. He's not fallible. Like you say, he does miss a couple of shots.
Yeah.
I think it would have been a bit too Hollywood if he was just taking people out, one-shotting people.
Oh, then it would be Enemy at the Gates.
Yeah. Or my son playing Call of Duty.
Yes.
No scoping. Yeah. They don't no scope on here, son. Oh, yeah.
Get good, sir. But yeah, it's you have that going on. The hardest one though for me was Mellish and the machine gun when our friend from the radar tower comes back.
Oh God, yes, this is very hard.
So Upham is having a bit of a breakdown, which look, to be fair to the kid, totally understandable.
Yep.
It's he's a bloody cartographer and a translator. He's suddenly under heavy fire in what has all been, in all but name, is a suicide mission. No one is seriously expected to survive it.
This is his beach.
This is his beach. This is Alamo. This is his first real time under sustained fire, and he just kind of loses it. He's paralyzed by fear, but while they're waiting for ammo, the Germans come in, and it's Steamboat Willie from earlier, the German from the radar station.
Mm-hmm.
And they have this fight. It's very vicious fight back and forth between Mellish and the guy. But yeah, Mellish pulls out his bayonet, and then it's the German gets on top of him, turns the knife around. And it's just a way Mellish is going, wait, stop. They're kind of like if you're having a fight with your brother and it's gone that little bit too far and you need it to stop. And the guy's just going, oh, shh, as he pushes the knife into him. And it's so visceral. And I'm not going to lie, I find it hard to watch. I'm like, I got twin monitor set up here sort of thing. I'm looking at the other monitor while that knife's going in because I can't watch that bit. That's just... It is the
shushing.
And it's the shushing, and it's It's the way he's saying, "Stop, stop, stop." It's
all the background. It's as if the fighting in the background has gone silent, and it's just them two in the room.
Yeah,
and it is literally heartbreaking.
Oh yeah, it's really hard to watch and to see. And then, Upham's been trying to make his way up the stairs, but he's kind of collapsed on the stairs, and the guy comes out and just looks at him and just walks by him.
Yeah.
He
knows that he's not a threat because he was sticking up for him at the radar station.
Yeah.
He knows that he's not a threat.
Yeah, he knows he's not a threat. They were bonding. They were almost friends, almost.
They were swapping cigarettes, swapping
stories, laughing. And again, Upham pleaded for his life. So, I don't know if it was just didn't see him as a threat or more so saw that I owe you one.
Yeah.
And whatever. But yeah, Lees and Van, poor Upham's bawling his eyes out on the stairs. But,
leading up to that, though. Just before they do break out in a knife fight, the build up to that scene, because they've been shooting through through holes in walls and gunning machine guns down, and there's been grenades being thrown in, and they're just picking up the grenades and lobbing them straight back out, and they either have a gun jam or they run out of ammo, and that's why they need Upham to come up with more ammo. And you have the footsteps up the stairs, and they call out. They don't do the flash and thunder thing. They do Upham. They call out for him, and then they just mow down the wall, and you hear two bodies hit the floor, and a bit of blood come around the corner, and it's so real.
Oh, that's the thing, And anyone who plays computer games, there's a difference between cover and concealment.
Definitely, but and then they just get the gunfire straight back through the wall. They've already killed someone through that wall, so there's no. It's a two-way wall. It's going to work both ways. And the other poor guy, because they're rolling around on the floor, he's choking to death. He's had a round go through his throat, and they're rolling over him.
Yeah,
it's every man for himself. It is the epitome of hand-to-hand combat, and it is one of the scariest things around.
Oh, it's very difficult to watch that bit.
Yeah, but I've been dreading talking about that actually. Yeah, I didn't know how to do it, but it's just the shushing. It really gets me.
It's the shushing. It's the begging. It's how personal it is.
Yeah.
You're literally looking into the guy's eyes while it's just nice. Yeah, harsh.
Then we
Very
have
harsh.
It's counterbalanced with the sergeant, and he comes up across a German.
Oh yeah.
And they both fire, and both guns are either out of ammo or lock up, and so they end up throwing guns at each other.
Well, they throw the guns at each other, and then they're struggling for their pistols, and the sergeant gets his out a fraction of a second first and shoots him, but he still gets shot himself.
Yeah.
But he almost seems like he's more annoyed with it than hurt.
Oh, he's just pissed off, isn't he?
I think he throws his pistol after him and goes, "Oh, son of a..."
But it is almost a perfect get-out clause from that harsh scene. So,
well, I mean, yeah, it's just it goes well afterwards. But I think it's right after that they start shouting "Alamo, Alamo."
Matt Damon, Private Ryan, he comes up with the idea of throwing the 60mm shells.
Oh, they're already making their way back at that point, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're doing that. With the 60mm shells, they're smacking them down on the metal plate and then throwing them.
Which seems to work really, really well.
Oh, it's working well. They're kind of holding their own, but all of a sudden the tank comes around from behind. Then that's when it's like, okay, we got to go. And they all make their bolt for the bridge. You have the captain and Ryan make their way over, and you get the sergeant grabs Upham and starts dragging him across. but then he loses him, doesn't he? Upham kind of falls and dives into a foxhole, the other side of a bridge.
Yep.
And again, the captain's made it across, and he's trying to wire in the explosives to blow the bridge. And you're looking across, and you're just seeing what's left of a squad just getting mowed down.
Yeah, they're all getting mowed down. It is.
It is the Alamo at this point. It's the last hurrah, the last stand.
Everything is lost. Just don't lose the bridge.
Yeah.
And okay, so who's been taken out at this point? Has Miller been shot by now?
No, he's shot when he's trying to wire it up. He gets across the bridge, he's all right, but then he gets shot.
Oh, when he's stunned, isn't he?
Yeah, he's stunned by the explosion. Reban makes it over okay. Reban, he's fine. The sergeant is shot coming across the bridge.
Oh, that's right. He's shot by the German that they released.
No. He's shot. It's Miller ends up being shot by the German that was released.
Miller. Yeah, sorry.
But the sergeant's shot and he's brought across, and they're like, "Are you okay, Mike?" And he goes, "Just got the wind knocked out of me," but he's got a gaping hole in his chest. Ryan's made it over. Ryan's kind of a bit shell shocked at this point. He's rocking backwards and forwards, screaming, which has also become a bit of a meme.
Has it? I haven't seen that one.
Have you not?
No.
I'll have to dig it out for you later. But yeah, that's become a bit of a meme. You've got again, he's the captain's shocked at this point, and the explosion knocked him back, and the wires aren't connected there. And yeah, I mean, it's basically the Germans are coming and nothing to stop them. So the captain, Upham's still on the other side of a bridge, and he's pretty much level with the Germans who are shooting across. None of them see him, and he's just kind of keeping his head down because he's terrified. And the captain gets up, Mike's dead at this point. You can see his eyes are wide open, and they are staring across at the where the detonator is. The captain gets up, starts walking over to it, and this is when Steamboat Willie, the German, shoots him and knocks him down.
That's right. Yeah, it's almost an impartial shot, isn't it? It's just there's another guy over there. He's not taking aim at Miller as a person himself. It's just another soldier.
Yeah, it's just another soldier, but I think he knew who it was when he shot him. I definitely got that impression. And yeah, he shoots him and he goes down. And he's sitting there lying, bleeding out, shocked more than anything else, I suppose. And there's a tank coming across the bridge. So he pulls out his pistol, just starts shooting at it.
Yeah, this is the Jaws moment, isn't it?
A little bit, yeah. This is the smile, you son of a bitch. But yeah, he sat there shooting it, bang, bang, bang. And all of a sudden, the tank just explodes. And then you get the P-51s flying over.
Yeah. Cavalry.
Yes.
Turning up. Fucking excellent, man.
Oh, yes. Cadillac of the sky.
So that's the Germans. Well, as soon as the planes turn up, they almost just turn down their guns, don't they?
They pretty much turn tail and run. I mean, Spielberg's pretty much admitted in the final action sequence, military tactics somewhat go out the window. It's focused more on dramatic effect.
Yeah.
So on both sides, the tactics aren't sound, and yeah, the Germans probably wouldn't just turn around and run at this point. But
well, we've already had the tactics of earlier on, haven't we? And now this is just our crescendo in a movie that we're watching.
Yeah, exactly. This is. I mean, and you've got to bear in mind this is a guy almost telling a story, if you will. So anyway, P-51s arrive. Ryan runs over. Who else does it? Reben as well. Reinforcements are arriving from the Americans. Upham jumps out behind the Germans that were shooting and points a machine gun at them, orders them all to surrender. And Steamboat Willie kind of smiles and says, "Up 'em," and gets shot. Quite cathartic, it must be said. I'm sure the Germans have no idea what's going on, but for the rest of us, it was quite, it's like, yeah, fuck him.
Yeah, it's satisfying, isn't it? It really is.
This time around, I just kind of I found it kind of sad. Not sad as in I felt sorry for the guy, because I didn't. But it's sad because, again, the guy was just doing his job.
Yeah.
Again, I get it. I get why it's in there, and I get that. But I didn't get a sense of, oh, yeah, fuck that guy. It was just, yeah.
No, but Upham has heard him have a knife fight with one of his comrades.
It's too little too late from Upham, though. I mean, I know the character needs to do it at this point, but the point when he needed to kind of redeem himself was about 30 seconds before that knife went through the guy's chest.
Yeah.
That was when he needed to have that moment bursting through the door and shoot. That was the moment. At this point, it's too little too late.
Yeah.
Again, I get why it's there. I understand why it's there. I don't blame Upham for doing it. That makes all perfect sense. All I'm saying is I didn't get a real sense of fuck yeah from it. I didn't get a sense of catharsis from it.
Yeah. So out of our merry men that we had, who have we got left?
Technically you've got the captain still alive for a couple more minutes.
Yeah.
But only Reiben.
And Upham, and that's it.
And Upham, yes, that's it. But yeah, the reinforcements are all arriving, and Reiben runs off looking for a medic, shouting, "Medic! Medic!" And Ryan's there trying to comfort the captain. The captain says to him, "Make sure this was worth it. Earn it.
Earn it.
Earn this." Yeah. He'd already said earlier to Mike that, when they find this guy, you better go on to cure cancer or something like that. Do something amazing. You better make it worthwhile. But yeah, it just says to him, "Earn it, earn this," and then he just dies, and his hands stop shaking, and that's that. That's when we have our fade to the present day.
This was clever.
This was very clever because, again, unreliable narrator. Because up until this point, we'd assumed that the old man had been Tom Hanks, Captain Miller.
Yeah.
Doing that match cut from the beginning. But no, we find out it was Ryan. And he's visiting the grave of Miller.
And it was a good morph as well, especially for 1998.
It was fantastically well done. It was brilliantly done. But you got Ryan standing before Miller's grave and asks his wife to tell him that he was a good man and had led a good life, wanting that reinforcement, wanting to be told that yes, you have earned it.
Mm.
And so he's got a big loving family and all that, and you have to assume that he's done what needed to be done.
Yeah.
And thus ends Saving Private Ryan.
That is it. It's all done.
That is it. Not gonna lie, it still gets a little dusty in the room at the end.
Oh yeah. It doesn't matter when I watch this. When I do normally watch this, it's around Remembrance time, starting November, maybe end of October, sort of thing, to take my mind off of Halloween and such stuff that we don't do in this house.
No.
Yeah. Okay. Your thoughts on this time round, because I know you like this film. I'm just wondering how you feel about it now after you've seen it and spoken about it.
Oh, I still adore this film. It's certainly one of Spielberg's best. Certainly one of my favourites. I mean, I don't know if I'd put this in my top 10 of films, just because my personal tastes tend to lead more towards science fiction and stuff like that. But this is easily what this is it's preserved in the Library of Congress. It's frequently in the top 100 films, and it is totally deserving to be in there. It doesn't get too bogged down with it's telling a story. It's trying to tell an authentic story, if not an accurate story, if that makes sense. You know, it's not trying to tick box this happened and this happened, this happened. It's just trying to put you in a position where you can get a sense of what might have happened in that time.
Yeah.
And I think that's great. From a technical standpoint, it's beautiful. The way it's shot is amazing. Still to this day, I don't think we've seen a better example of a big battle than the opening of this film, which is just so well done. And again, it's just so nuanced. It's just fantastic. No, I adore this film. It's worth all the praise that's placed upon it. And like I said, if anything, I just feel that its flaw, the problem with this film, and I don't want to sound like I'm being down on this film because I'm not. I love this film.
No, go for it, man.
But the thing here is, this is a fictional, or at least a loosely based on story to tell a story. Whereas we know from Band of Brothers, there was plenty of real stories to tell. They didn't have to do this.
Yeah.
To tell this story, to tell a good story. I get how they wanted to, condense it down to just a 2-hour movie. That's fine. But Band of Brothers, for my money, is better than this, but it has more time to tell that story.
Yeah, you got time to breathe. Let it grow.
Let it go. Get to know the people. Get to know the characters. You
do. You get to know and love them, and you're on the journey with them.
So for this, it's very condensed in that sense. If we never got say Band of Brothers, then fine. This would stand on its own as a fantastic, probably one of the best World War II films ever. Mm. But when you look at it, I mean, this is effectively the proto Band of Brothers, if you will, the prototype, the test.
Yeah.
And then they go off and do Band of Brothers, which, to my mind, is a superior product, superior piece of storytelling. But yeah, all in all, aside from what we've said already about the main conceit being a bit shaky and, a couple of things not quite landing how they once did, it's still fantastic.
Yeah. For me, before I went into watching it this time round, like I said earlier on, I'd seen it a lot, but there was a big gap between watching it this time. And I thought I got into my head that the film was taking stages of using up people, and then once their fulfillment had been used, then they would discard that character and move on to the next scene. And watching it this time round has re-energized my love for this movie, because I now realise it doesn't really do that.
No.
I can see why people say that, but I think it's people that haven't seen it for a long, long time. And I don't feel that way about this movie now. I've got a new love for this movie. One thing I would say though is, for me, I'm reaching maybe saturation point with it, where I have seen it maybe one too many times. I think I've got a couple of more viewings in it, and if I leave it long enough, that'll be good enough for me. That would work. But like Ghostbusters, which I saw maybe a year or so ago, I think that was one too many times that I'd seen it, and now has reached a point where I can't enjoy it anymore. And I was close to it on this. I'm not there yet, but I think it is one of the, if not the best war movie ever. It is a great story and one of my favourite top 10 movies.
Mm.
It's so flipping good in all the right places as well. It looks brilliant. The cast just disappear into their characters, and you have a fondness for each and every one of them. Even if you don't get as much time with the characters as you maybe want, you still get enough.
Well, I mean, again, it's someone like Vin Diesel's character. I mean, we're barely spending any time with him, but you still feel his death.
Yes.
It still impacts you.
Yeah.
It's again, it's bound by the time it has to tell its story in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it has to do this. But I don't think you could do better in the time given.
No.
Because bear in mind, you got to. I mean, how long is this film? It's what, 2 hours? Is it 169 minutes? So
240.
240. Yeah, you got to take away about 30 minutes of that just for that opening sequence, which, while important and while very important for the story, isn't really giving you any character stuff except for maybe Captain Miller. You know, that's really just establishing where you are. If you took that out, picked up the film after that, I mean, let's face it, you could take out the entire beach landing and the core story wouldn't be affected in the slightest.
No, that's right.
You know, but you need that opening bit to give that sense of grounding, to understand where they are, what they've gone through to get there.
Well, I think you could see a Band of Brothers, maybe a mini-series on this film alone. You could have episode 1 is the build up to the landings, episode 2 the landings, and you could break this down into episodes, which you would flesh out your characters a little bit more and get a bit more in depth and form a bit more love for each and every one of them.
I think a 3-part miniseries would work well for this. You know, part 1 is, like you said, the build up and the Normandy landings. Part 2 is they're given the mission, they head off, they go, and you know, again, it's like a full hour and a half of them making their way to the point where they finally reach Ryan.
Yeah.
And then the final part is the planning and trying to hold the beach, hold the bridge there, you know, which again will just give everything a little bit more time to breathe, you know, maybe get some flashbacks of stuff between, say, Capazzo and Miller to Mellish to get an idea of why they're such good friends, you know, get a sense of Miller when he was a school teacher almost, you know, just to see some of those bits, get a sense of it.
Yeah.
But again, it's like with The Martian. I love The Martian. The Martian's a great film, but I firmly believe The Martian would have been better as a miniseries. But the film is the best you can do in those time constraints.
Yeah.
So.
No, totally agree.
Yeah.
So thumbs up from you still, yeah?
Oh, absolutely. Still thumbs up from me. I mean, I'm like you. This isn't a film I can watch too often, too regularly. It's not a film I'm just going to say, gee, you know what I fancy watching? I fancy watching Saving Private Ryan. But this has been good to watch, you know, which is great. And yeah, I'd like to, you know, again, maybe 5 years time, something like that. Come back to it again then, you know. Yeah,
that's a good window for it, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so next time out, we're going to be talking about part 1 of Band of Brothers. And I always get the name of this, Kurihi or something. I can't remember. Kurihi, that's it.
Kurihi.
So that's what we're going to be talking about next time out. We'll probably follow the same format unless we talk off air about it and maybe decide to change a few things.
We'll follow the same format unless we don't.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. And you've said it so much better than me. Well done.
Well, you know what we say. No plan survives contact with the enemy.
Bringing it full circle. Well done.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it seems that we've gone full circle. Please join us next time on this same feed. We do have a Facebook group, which is facebook.com/groups/band. Is it Band of Brothers Podcast? Band of Brothers Podcast. And that's where you can find all the details down about this show. Maybe send us a bit of feedback about episodes or upcoming episodes about it. We're only covering Band of Brothers on this, though.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, let us know what you think. I mean, again, you know, if we've been wrong on some details, if you know some interesting facts, because we just love learning about it. So, you know, go onto the Facebook group and, you know, again, have a conversation with us. You know, we have nothing better to do. So come chat to us there.
Yeah. We do other shows around the internet, though, which is always good for other people to listen to. It's always welcome in our Facebook groups that we have. Andy, where can people find you on your day-to-day business?
On my day-to-day business? Well, that's confidential. But on my other podcasting business, I'm also on space.jury, where you can find at spacedoc.geekplanetonline.com and also on the iTunes. and on facebook.com/group/space.jury, where myself, Mr. Lee Medcalf, and Reverend Peter Organ have a civilized intellectual debate, be the massive argument, about spaceships. And I also do that there. What are we calling it now? The flaps, spoilers, and
whizzy fast cars going round in circles or something like that. I don't know.
That's the one. Yeah. I mean, if we can't find that URL, we'll have to call it something like the Grand Prix podcast. But we do this thing about Formula One, which will be starting again soon when pre-season testing starts in February. Huzzah!
Yes, exactly. You can also catch me and Lee Medcalf, Darren Barnard, and Mr. Jim Moon on the Black Dog podcast, which is at blackdog.com. Or is it blackdogpodcast.com? It's blackdogpodcast.com. Also, you can catch me on shonkylag.com. And that is just a topic-based phone-in and live-streamed show about nonsense, really. So please catch us all over the place. We do have lots of shows, old shows as well, which have died a death, but you can find all the stuff that I do. You can find on rogue2.com. So that's all over there as well. So until next time, I suppose, we will catch you for part 1 of Band of Brothers. Until then, bye-bye.
I'm Oscar Mike.
Even Private Ryan, because that film did it so well. But
I mean, yeah, I'd say it doesn't so much put you in Normandy so much as it puts you in Saving Private Ryan.
yes. You know?
Yeah,
you do feel part of the film, don't you?
Oh yeah. Shouting Bangalore's.
Should we get into it then? I think we should.
I think we may as well. You know, we're just going to dance around it. I mean, let's face it. This is the first episode of this podcast, so we're not really going to have a format yet. We're going to be all over the place, so bear with us.
Oh, our heads are already spinning about this. So,
oh god, yeah.
We are. Let's set out our stakes. I'm not a military expert. I'm not part of the military. I am not an expert in anything really. I just like films and I love Band of Brothers. I will get things wrong. So if you want to call me up on it, you go ahead and do it. It's not going to change my opinion or the way that I deal with things. This is what you'll get, and you will enjoy it, or you can go away. That's the way it is at the moment. You know, if we make mistakes, we make mistakes. You know, everyone makes mistakes. So what? We move on. But as long as we're having fun doing it, that's all that matters. And it's free, so you know what are you complaining about? There we go. Right, okay, so Band of Brothers, Saving Private Ryan. Back where it first began. So this was Tom Hanks and Steven Spielberg getting together. Mm-hmm. Directed by Steven Spielberg. Written by Robert Rodat.
Rodat, yes.
Yeah. It came out in 1998. It's an American epic war drama set in the invasion of Normandy in the World War II. Mm-hmm. It follows it's not a true story, is it? I suppose like the first 27 minutes are true.
Well, the first 27 minutes or so, or rather the landings at Normandy, that is largely it has been referred to as the most accurate depiction of the Normandy landings ever committed to film. It was so authentic that when it was screened for the first time, any veterans from the events were given warnings that, you know, this is going to be quite harrowing to see. And, you know, quite a lot of them, you know, commended them for not flinching away from a lot of the more horrific and horrible aspects of it. You know, normally when, you know, prior to this, when you thought of Normandy, you thought of war films, it was largely just, you know, they kind of trotted up to the beach, ran up, shot the Germans, job done. You know, you never really saw, certainly Americans getting blown up and, you know, it going really badly. I mean, opening 27, it's pretty bloody violent, very bloody. I mean, but very accurate. You see, I mean, just as the landing craft are approaching the shore, which are authentic landing craft, some of which served on D-Day.
Yeah.
But you got people throwing up in there, being sick. None of this kind of bravado. Of a strong American GI who can take on everything. It's boys.
Yes,
it's young boys. And then as soon as the door drops down, they're just getting mowed down by the machine guns. Have to go over the side. You got the sea turning red with the blood. You've got people being blown up, shot left and right. You got that very famous shot of the guy looking, guy with one arm looking around absentmindedly for his arm, picking it up and just carrying on.
Yeah.
And it's just. It's horrible and harrowing, but at the same time, you just can't look away from it. There's a bit where you have Captain Miller pulling a body up, pulling someone up, and then there's an explosion nearby, and he continues carrying, but it's only half a body now because the shell landed on him and just blew him to hell. And again, we call these things cliches now, but like this shell shock sort of effect where the sound all drops out and it's all very kind of very distant. And the bleach bypass effect where everything's very kind of washed out. Lots of very whites and blacks, and it's very kind of high contrast look to it. This is just beautiful cinematography. It's just so well done. And yeah, I mean, that whole opening sequence is, you could have just done that on its own and just put that out as a, 30, 40 minutes. This was the invasion of Normandy, just getting up Omaha Beach. And, it probably still would have gotten nods for how well done it was. And it's just so much attention to detail there. It was fantastic.
Yeah, because that invasion was a couple of hours worth as well, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Well, again, I mean, the Normandy invasion took place over, I want to say 5 beaches. The British did...
yeah, it was
Junos,
5. Yeah.
It was 5, yeah. The British took... Well, the British and Canadians took 3 and the Americans took 2.
Yeah, and we're along for the ride on Omaha Beach, where the Americans...
Omaha Beach, yeah.
There
was 2 American beaches, Omaha Beach and Utah Beach. All of the operations pretty much went smoothly, except Omaha. Omaha was the biggest clusterfuck out of them all. I don't know off the top of my head as to what happened there, what went wrong, but I think that was the hardest beach to land on.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Flipping hell. It's just harrowing. One thing we forgot to mention already is the actual opening is a trick.
The unreliable narrator. Yes. Well, your very first shot is Old Glory, the American flag. To get the American audiences all kind of hooah. I can't begrudge him in this though, because the film is just so good. But it is a cheap trick to an extent.
Do you know what? I've got no problems with that whatsoever. I feel some war movies do the American thing a bit too over the top and just, oh yeah, American just took on the whole world and won. Well done. Everyone should bow down to America for that. But this, I feel that you're not along with Americans.
It's earned in this film.
Yeah, it is earned, but you're also on a journey with human beings.
Yeah.
As well. It doesn't matter where they come from.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. But it starts off with a family visiting the Normandy graves, where a lot of the people who were killed on the beaches were buried in France. Yeah. Which is maintained by the Commonwealth War Graves Commission, I believe, and I think whoever the American equivalent is. And it's an elderly person who we're led to believe is a veteran or survivor, perhaps, and his family following some distance behind. And they find a grave. We don't see the name on the grave, but he falls down, distraught, I suppose, and the camera kind of zooms in on his eyes. And then immediately cuts to the eyes of Captain Hiller on the landing craft.
Miller, yes.
Miller. Sorry, yes, but yes, yes, that's what we call the unreliable narrator.
Yeah, I think it took me maybe 1 or 2 watches to realise what they're actually doing on that. I don't want to say it just yet, because there are people that are listening to this for the first time and maybe even haven't seen the film. What the hell are you doing? Go back and watch it, crying out loud.
Yeah. Just don't. We're going to spoil this film. And honestly, I mean, it's not like an M. Night Shyamalan film where there's a massive twist in it, but it's such a good film. Go and watch it. take a moment after that, and then come back and join us. We're not going anywhere. We'll wait, but then come back and you can kind of join in with us and have a listen. See what we think, and then if you don't agree with us, you can argue with us on the Facebook group.
Yes, definitely. So we're on the beach. That, I know you've just described everything that goes on the beach, but it is harrowing. It doesn't take any prisoners whatsoever. It really throws you in there it puts you in there on an eye level as well.
Oh, it's very visceral. It really, everything down. The only thing really missing from the experience is the smells, because everything else is there. The sound is there, how it looks is there, the just that sense of disorientation. You don't really know what's going on.
No, the camera's constantly moving, isn't it?
Constantly moving. This is before shaky cam was quite the bane on Hollywood that it is today. But still, it's constantly moving. You got slow shutter speeds at some periods where he's disorientated, doesn't know quite what's going on. The sound drops out. Everything goes very quiet, except for that kind of in the distant. As the explosions go off and people die, you got bullets flying through the water, and like I said, just the water turning red from the blood. You got one of the landing craft lands, and it just erupts into flame, and you got these guys trying to get out of it on fire. It's harrowing, and again, you just see boys screaming for their mothers, hiding behind these tank traps, because again, you're talking 19, 20-year-olds. Maybe even younger. And it's just, if you think of what we were doing at 19 and 20, and it's just like, no, just no, nope.
So far apart from that. There was not that there was no way that I was going to be doing that, but I cannot envisage how brave these people were. There's just no words for it. And I feel this film,
the casting, to production values, to the direction, to the storytelling. It's if you want a lesson in how to make a good miniseries, this is still the one to do it. It doesn't outstay its welcome. It tells a beautiful story, fantastically well done. It doesn't flinch away from the hard stuff. It kind of embraces the quiet moments and the big bombastic stuff as well. And you really do start to feel an affinity and a sense of camaraderie, with Easy Company.
Yeah. No, that's totally correct. You feel you are part of that band. You're on the journey with them, and you're following them around, and it's just incredible. It looks so beautiful as well at points. And it's so well done, because you do have the introductions are done by, is it members of Easy Company that actually introduce it?
It's typically members of Easy Company who were still alive at the time, or people who interacted with Easy Company, people who had relevant information or experience in what the episode was going to involve.
Yeah.
So and that's one of the great things when you hear some of these guys, I think you had Colonel Winters at one point, and Malarkey and stuff like that. They're talking about stuff, and then you see these actors who have brought them to life, as they were in 1944. And again, you just get this real sense of who they were, and you can tell it's been done with reverence and love. A lot of respect has gone into it. It's a very authentic portrayal. They don't really shy. Nothing's painted with real rose tinted specs. Yeah. There's some harrowing moments in there, but it's still fantastically well done.
Yeah, it's the same as Saving Private Ryan, which we'll be going through very, very soon. It's got wonderful aspects. Lots of shades of grey, shall we say, instead of the good guys and the bad guys.
Well, absolutely. The thing with Saving Private Ryan is, it was, I suppose, the embryonic form of Band of Brothers. Without Saving Private Ryan, there would be no Band of Brothers. And the thing is, so many of what we view as now of war film cliches, or even war game cliches, anyone who's played Call of Duty, the first few ones, storming the beach of Normandy, it's almost all taken verbatim from this film.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It's when I was watching it this time around, and we'll get to this when we're talking about it proper, I start finding myself not quite rolling my eyes at cliches, but like, you kind of go, oh, that's so cliche. We've seen this a million times. But then you realize that this was the first film to do that. And now it's just become such a staple of war films and big action sequences ever since. And it all began right there.
Yeah. Yeah, I have played that. I think it wasn't called, I think it was Medal of Honor.
The first Medal of Honor as well, yeah. Again, so many of these just kind of, they do the Normandy landings and that's just it.
And it worked so well. It really did. But you knew it was being ripped off from, say, Hello everyone and welcome to the Band of Brothers podcast. I'm Elton and this is Andy.
Hello.
And we are joining forces to work our way through the Band of Brothers. I haven't seen this in around about a year, but I've been wanting to do this show for quite some time. I don't know about you, Andy. How do you feel about Band of Brothers?
Oh, I love Band of Brothers, but I've probably not watched it in probably close to 2 to 3 years at this point.
Right, okay.
It has been a while, but it's certainly one of those things that I love to come back to, and I always appreciate. You get totally engrossed in it.
Yeah,
it's just fantastic.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert: we like it.
Oh God, yes, yeah. Straight off the bat, spoilers. It's going to be filled with it. This show and the coming shows as well are going to be filled with spoilers. We're going to be rambling about each and every episode that we have, and this episode, Saving Private Ryan, as well. And that fits into things. But we will also probably curse at some point. We'll probably say something rude and maybe inappropriate. So just in case you've got kids around, get them out the room. Just in case. It's got an explicit tab for a reason. So
to be fair, especially with Saving Private Ryan, that's really not viewing for children. So if you let your kids watch Saving Private Ryan, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, you're on a list somewhere, definitely. Oh, I don't know. But yeah, I haven't watched it for maybe a year or so. It took me quite a while to track Band of Brothers down. I know it was available on DVDs and Blu-rays and HBO and stuff like that. I tried to watch it on the BBC when it was first released. And it was around 9/11 that it came out. So I think it got lost in all that furore that was around going on then, and lost into news and went into the background somewhat for me. So I knew it was there. And it took me a couple of years to seek it out, and I sought it out. Once again took me a couple of years to buy it. Then I got round to watching it finally, and I gorged on it a bit too much, and then had to leave it for a couple of years. But last year I went back to it, went through it again, and ended up crying at every single episode. It just kills me, honestly, slays me. It's some of the best TV ever, I would say.
Oh, undoubtedly. It's still a high watermark. It's fantastic. Everything from